let's get started with the story. Let me grab the link and I will put it into chat. And just a reminder, we are live also on our YouTube side if you would like to follow along over on YouTube. And make sure to follow, okay? Don't forget that one. That one's pretty important. All right. Let's go ahead and let's switch. All right. Oh, and I have to change some of these cups because I just realized they're a little out of sorts over here. There's that one. This one's okay. I figured since we were reading, we could read in the clubhouse. All right. Okay. And there we go. We are all set. Just a reminder, if you'd like to follow along, here is the book that we'll be reading tonight. I will pin it to the top of chat for you. All right. So, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to kind of recap where we are so far in the story, right? So we are reading a book. It's a Christmas short story by Charles Dickens, who also did, what's the name of that one book? Christmas Carol or Scrooge. Hi, Manuel, welcome in. And basically what's happening is Mr. Redlaw made a deal with a ghost, obviously, where it would take away the memories of past pains, traumatic events in his past, but in exchange, they said they would take away his knowledge. But what it actually took away was his empathy. And because he accepted this, what it also did, it basically gave him ability so that when he's around other people, they also lose the ability to feel empathy. And it's kind of proven when he's going around and he meets different people. They start being very mean and cold, and when they see certain things happening to other people, like really bad things, they don't care. They don't care. And so after he sees that he actually is the cause of these things happening, he decides that he needs to basically ostracize himself away from, what is it called? Phoenix, thank you so much for the resub. Thank you. Please enjoy those emotes, and as always, welcome to Favorite Cafe. Hope you're doing good. But like I said, when he sees that he's the cause of this, right? When he sees that he's the cause of these things happening, he decides that he needs to, fix it. And so he beseeches, or he begs, the ghost that gave him this ability to take it away. And that's where we are right now. Hi, Zach. Thank you so much for the raid. And Phoenix, thank you so much for the resub. Please enjoy these emotes. And as always, welcome to Favorite Cafe. Let me go ahead and add a kiss for you. But Zach, how was stream? We're doing some Warcraft. How was Warcraft? Did you have fun? Were you playing with anybody? But welcome on in, Raiders. Welcome to Favorite Cafe. I'm Mukya. I'm a siren with a necrotic affliction, and I run a cafe. If you guys would like a drink, we could do tea, boba, coffee, hot cocoa, however the cake is extra. Oh, can't see it. put it right here. Right there. There you go, Phoenix. Perfect. Okay. Better. Look forward to a review of them. A review of what? Hi, Manuel. I will neither confirm nor deny that I googled where to buy them. The chips? Really? Hopefully they're good. Hopefully you like them. Let me see. Okay. No, we're good. All right. Felgren, thank you for the coffee order. Carnage, thank you for the coffee order. Sloth, thank you for the coffee order. Nix, thank you for the coffee order. Leori, thank you for the coffee order. Nambi, thank you for the coffee order. Phoenix, thank you for the coffee order. Nui, hi Nui, thank you for the coffee order. Kit, thank you for the coffee order and for the care package. We'll go ahead and do that really quick. Everybody, if you're sitting down at your desk, sit up straight, tilt your head to the left, tilt your head to the right, look up, and look down. Sit up and drink some mama. Hardcore 20th anniversary servers? What? Wait, so the hardcore servers, aren't those the ones where like if you die in those, you die in real life? Isn't that part of the game? Or am I thinking of something else? Let me just lower the music a bit more. Okay. That sounds better. Hi Moon, welcome in. I had some of my friends' guild members help me out with some quests that needed more than just myself to take care of the mobs. Isn't that sort of online? For Wuthering, not Wuthering, for WoW. For Warframe, not Warframe. God damn it! You literally, I just read it. Warcraft. You die, you can't resurrect your character at all. Yeah. I remember that being part of the hardcore mode. Yeah. I like hardcore instances like MMOs, like DDO. I do not know if I would like it in WoW. Hi Moon. Hi Spongy. 170, 147. Sounds like Sword Art Online. Oh, no. In WoW, if you die, your character is like they're dead. There's no way to bring them back. Like at all. And I think there's an item actually to pay like real money for it. Refuse to play hardcore on Diablo. Some things kill me stupid ways. Yeah. I would do like a hardcore thing on maybe like what's it called? What's the name of that one? Yeah, Minecraft? Like I might do like a hardcore thing in Minecraft. But like that's probably it. Honestly. That'd probably be it. Excuse me. That's not what I'm looking for at all. Key? Was it key? Maybe it was key? Let me see. No. Definitely not key. Maybe it was correction. Yeah, I just wanted to make everything like a little bit darker to kind of fit. Perfect. Hardcore can be fun. The hard part for me is losing the loot. That's so fair. That would be terrible for me too. I completely understand that. Nibbling on right now, so yummy pomegranate. Ooh, I like pomegranates. I'll be on server, but I don't have anyone to play with. I mean, isn't there like Cobblemon servers where they have like where they're public? I'm pretty sure there are. Hi Isaac, welcome in, how are you? Okay. we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna settle in so we can do some reading. Let me just put my monocles on. All right. Now you can't revive at all. You can transfer them to regular servers for free until the 12th when the patch for the Burning Crusade expansion drops. Since TBC won't have hardcore servers for the 20th. That makes sense. That makes sense. Those have a bunch of gambling and stuff. I see. Okay. Makes perfect sense. Alright. Okay, so the plan tonight is to finish the Gentleman and the Ghost's Bargain, and then if we still have time before the end of stream, we will continue with Dracula, which is where we left off before winter. We were reading Dracula. So, everybody, let's go ahead and let's start. Take a deep breath. All right. Time for some Dracula. Haunted Man. And if you want to follow along, the book is pinned to the top of chat. Okay. Hit a small goal today. Quite happy with the chill. What was the goal? Tell us the goal before I read. What was the goal? What was the goal that you made? That's always exciting. Mm-hmm. 905. That's awesome. Congratulations, Zach. That's so good. I'm so proud of you. But Zach, I know you raided, and if you need to raid and run, I understand. But if you want to look and hang out, make sure to do after stream care. Do a little stretch, eat some food, drink some Wawa, take a shower because you're stinky. But we'll go ahead and we'll start this story if you want to relax now, okay? Chapter 3. The Gift. The Gift Reversed. There we go. Night was still heavy in the sky. On open plains, from hilltops, and from the decks of solitary ships at sea, a distant low-lying line that promised by and by to change to light was visible in the dim horizon. But its promise was remote and doubtful, and the moon was striving with the night's clouds busily. The shadow upon Redlaw's mind succeeded thick and fast and to one another, and obscured its light as the night clouds hovered between the moon and the earth and kept the later veiled in darkness. Fitful and uncertain as the shadows which made the night clouds cast, were their concealments from him, and imperfect revelations to him, and like the night clouds still, if the clear light broke forth for a moment, it was only that they might sweep over it and make the darkness sweep deeper than before. Without, there was a profound and solemn hush upon the ancient pile of buildings, and its buttresses and angles made dark shapes of mystery upon the ground, which now seemed to retire into the smooth white snow, and now seemed to come out of it, as the moon's path was more or less beset. Within, the chemist's room was indistinct and murky. By the light of the expiring lamp and trains in the distance, a ghostly silence has succeeded to the knocking and the voice outside. Nothing was audible but, now and then, a low sound among the whitened ashes of the fire, as of its yielding up its last breath. Before it, on the ground, the boy lay fast asleep. In his chair, the chemist sat, as he sat there since the calling at his door had ceased, like a man turned to stone. At such a time, The Christmas music he had heard before began to play. He listened to it at first, as he had listened in the churchyard, but presently, it playing still and being borne towards him on the night air in a low, sweet, melancholic strain, he rose and stood stretching his hands about him as if they were some friend approaching within its reaches, on whom his desolate touch might rest, yet do no harm. As he did this, his face became less fixed and wondering. A gentle trembling came upon him, and at last his eyes filled with tears, and he set his hands before them and bowed down his head. His memory of sorrow, wrong, and trouble had not come back to him. He knew that it was not restored. He had no passing belief or hope that it was. But some dumb stir within him made him capable, again, of being moved by what was hidden afar off in the music, if it were only that it told him sorrowfully as the value of what he had lost. He thanked heaven for it with the fervent gratitude. As the last chord died upon his ear, he raised his head to listen to its lingering vibration. Beyond the boy, so that his sleeping figure lay at his feet, the phantom stood, immovable and silent, with its eyes upon him, ghastly as it was, as it had ever been, but not so cruel and relentless in its aspect. Or so he thought, or hoped so, as he looked upon it, trembling. It was not alone, but in its shadowy hand it held another hand. And whose was that? Was the form of that stood beside it indeed Milly's, or but her shade and picture? The quiet head was bent a little, as her manner was, and her eyes were looking down, as if in pity, on the sleeping child. A radiant light fell on her face, but did not touch the phantom, for, though close behind her, it was dark and colorless as ever. "Spectre," said the chemist, newly troubled as he looked. "I have not seen stubborn or presumptuous in respect of her. Oh, do not bring her here, spare me that." "This is but a shadow," said the phantom. "When the morning shines, seek out the reality whose image I present to you." "Is it my inexorable doom to do so?" cried this chemist. "It is," replied the phantom, "to destroy her peace, her goodness, to make her what I am myself, and what I have made of others." "I have said, seek her out," returned the phantom. "I have said no more." "Oh, tell me," exclaimed Redclaw, catching at the hope when he fancied might lie behind in the words, "can I undo what I have done?" "No," returned the phantom. "I do not ask for restoration to myself," said Redlaw. "What I abandoned of my own free will, and have justly lost. But for those to whom I have transferred the fatal gift, who never sought it, who unknowingly received a curse of which they had no warning, and which they had no power to shun, can I do nothing?" "Nothing," said the phantom. "If I cannot, can anyone?" The phantom, standing like a statue, kept his gaze upon him for a while, then turned its head suddenly and looked upon the shadow at its side. "Can she?" cried Redlaw, still looking upon the shade. The phantom released the hand it had retained until now, and softly raised its own with a gesture of dismissal. Upon that, her shadow, still preserving the same attitude, began to move or melt away. "Stay," cried Redlaw with an earnestness to which he could not give enough expression. "For a moment, as an act of mercy. I know that some change fell upon me when those sounds were in the air just now. Tell me, have I lost the power of harming her? May I go near her without dread? Oh, let her give me any sign of hope." The phantom looked upon the shade as he did, not at him, and gave no answer. "At least say this. Has she henceforth the consciousness of any power to set right what I have done?" "She has not," the phantom answered. "Has she the power bestowed upon her without the consciousness?" The phantom answered, "Seek her out." And her shadow slowly vanished. They were face to face again, and looking on each other as intently and awfully as at the time of the bestowal of the gift. Across the boy, who still lay on the ground between them, the phantom's feet. "Terrible instructor," said the chemist, sinking on his knees before it in an attitude of supplication, "by whom I was renounced, but by whom I am revisited, in which, and in whose milder aspect, I would fain believe I have a gleam of hope. I will obey without inquiry. Pray that the cry I have set up in the anguish of my soul has been, or will be, heard, in behalf of those whom have injured beyond human reparations. But there is one thing. You speak to me of what is lying here," the phantom interposed, and pointed with its finger to the boy. "I do," returned the chemist. "You know what I would ask. Why has this child alone been proof against my influence, and why have I detected in its thoughts a terrible companionship with mine?" "This," said the phantom, pointing to the boy, "is the last, completest illustration of a human creature, utterly bereft of such remembrance as you have yielded up. No softening memory of sorrow, wrong, or trouble enters here, because this wretched mortal from his birth has been abandoned to a worse condition than the beasts, and has, within his knowledge, no one contrast, no humanizing touch to make a grain of such a memory spring up in his hardened breast. All within this desolate creature is barren wilderness. All within the man bereft of what you have resigned is the same barren wilderness. Woe to such a man, woe tenfold to the nation that shall count its monsters such as this, lying here by hundreds, by thousands." Redlaw shrank, appalled from what he had heard. "There is not," said the phantom, "one of these, not one, but sorrows a harvest of mankind must reap. From every seed of evil in this boy, a field of ruin is grown that shall be gathered in and garnished up, and sown again in many places in the world, until regions are overspread with wickedness enough to raise the waters of another deluge. Open and unpunished murder in the city streets would be less guilty in its daily toleration than one such a spectacle as this." It seemed to look upon the boy in his sleep. Redlaw, too, looked down upon him with a new emotion. "There is not a father," said the phantom, "by whose side in his daily or his nightly walk these creatures pass. There is not a mother among them all the ranks of loving mothers in this land. there is no one risen from this state of childhood, but shall be reasonable in his or her degree for his enormity. There is not a country throughout the earth on which it would not bring a curse. There is no religion upon earth that would not deny. There is no people upon earth it would not put to shame. The chemist clasped his hands and looked with trembling fear and pity from the sleeping boy to the phantom, standing above him with his finger pointing down. "Behold, I say," pursued the spectre, "the perfect type of which it is your choice to be. Your influence is powerless here because from this child's bosom you can banish nothing. His thoughts have been in terrible companionship with yours because you have gone down to his unnatural level. He is the growth of man's indifference. You are the growth of man's presumption. The beneficent design of heaven is, in each case, overthrown, and from the two poles of the material world you come together." The chemist stooped upon the ground beside the boy, and with the same kind of compassion for him that he now felt for himself, covered him as he slept, and no longer shrank from him with abhorrence or indifference. Soon now the distant line in the horizon brightened, the darkness faded, the sun rose red and glorious, and the chimney stacks and gables of the ancient building gleamed in the clean air which turned the smoke and vapor of the city into a cloud of gold. The very sundial in his shady corner, where the wind was used to spin with such unwindy constraint, shook off the finer particles of snow that had accumulated on his dull old face in the night, and looked out at the little white wreaths eddying around and around him. Doubtless, some blind groping of the morning made its way down to the forgotten crypt, so cold and earthy, where the Norman arches were half buried in the ground, and stirred the dull sap with the lazy vegetation hanging onto the walls, and quickened the slow principle of life within the little world of wonder and delicate creation which existed there, with some faint knowledge that the sun was up. Brain hurts so much the math I do is ridiculous. Hi Aiden, welcome in. How are you, my son? Demon Visrak, thanks so much for the follow. Hi Envo, how's your night? Took me forever, but I was able to find past stories of back then. Brian's style is inconsistent, but some of them got more love than others. I shared them with the Discord. Ah, okay, yeah, I'd love to listen and read. Have a good luck, Zach. Alright. Drinking some more water. I kind of feel like the music doesn't quite fit the story. Yeah, sloth? What? What would you like? I'm gonna change it really quick. Let's go with this one. Yeah, I like this one. This one's pretty good. Good night, Sloth. Have a good rest. Hiya, Sango. Welcome in. How are you? Doing great. I miss you. I miss you too. Hope you've been doing good. Have a nice, relaxing, comfy evening. Yeah, we are reading tonight. And if you guys would like to join us in reading, you're more than welcome to. we're just taking a little breather because chapter 3 looks to be a bit long. So we might only get through this tonight. Like, realistically, this should be like 2 more chapters. But hi, Nipa. Happy New Year. How are you? There we are. Hi, Humble. How's your night? Hope you're doing well. All right. All right. Let me see. Oh, thank you for the forehead kiss. Okay. I'm sick for 2 weeks, still recovering. On your side, I'm doing good. Everybody's been getting sick. I'm so sorry you're not feeling good. Just gaming for right now. Yeah, enjoy your game. I'm gonna keep reading. I just want to find something that I felt was a little bit more appropriate for this kind of story. All right. And go ahead and get back into it. Hi, Beesh. How are you? Thank you for the flowers. Okay. The Tetterbees were up and doing. Mr. Tetterbee took down the shutters of the shop and, strip by strip, revealed the treasures of the morning of the window to the eyes, so proof against their sedations of Jerusalem buildings. Adolphus had been out so long already that he was halfway to the morning pepper. 5 small Tetterbees, whose 10 brown eyes were much inflamed by soap and friction, were in the tortures of a cool wash in the back kitchen. Mrs. Tetterbee presiding. Johnny, who was pushed and hustled through his toilet with great rapidity when Moloch chanced to be in an exacting frame of mind, which was always the case, staggered up and down with his charge before the shop door, under greater difficulties than usual, the weight of Moloch being much increased by the complication of defenses against the cold, composed of knitted worsted work and forming a complete suit of chain armor with a headpiece and blue gaiters. It was a peculiarity of this baby to be always cutting teeth. Whether they never came, or whether they came and went away, is not in evidence, but it had certainly cut enough on the showing of Miss Tetterbee to make a handsome dental provision of the sign of the bull and the mouth. All sorts of objects were impressed for the rubbing of its gums, notwithstanding that it always carried dangling at its wrist, which was immediately under its chin, a bone ring, a large enough to have represented the rosary of a young nun. Knife handles, umbrella tops, the heads of walking sticks selected from the stalks and fingers of the family in general, but especially of Johnny. Nutmeg graters, crusts and handles of the doors, and the cool knobs on the tops of pokers were among the commonest instruments indiscriminately applied for this baby's relief. The amount of electricity that must have been rubbed out of it in a week is not to be calculated. Still, Miss Tetterbee always said it was going through, and then the child would be herself. And still, it never did come through, and the child continued to be somebody else. The tempers of the little Tetterbees had sadly changed for a few hours. Mr. and Mrs. Tetterbee themselves were not more altered than their offspring. Usually, they were unselfish, good-natured, yielding little rays, sharing short comments when it happened, which was pretty often, intently and even generously, and taking a great deal of enjoyment out of the very little meat. But they were fighting now, not only for the soap and water, but even for the breakfast, which was yet in perspective. The hand of every little Tetterbee was against the other little Tetterbees. Even Johnny's hand, the patient, much enduring and devoted Johnny, rose against the baby. Yes, Mrs. Tetterby, going to the door by mere accident, saw him viciously pick out a weak place in the suit of armor where a slap would tell. And that slap, blessed child. Mrs. Tetterby had him into the parlor by the collar in that same flash of time and repaid him the assault to the ursery thereto. You brute, you murdering little boy, said Mrs. Tetterby. Had you the heart to do it? Why don't her teeth come out then? Retorted Johnny with a loud, rebellious voice. Instead of bothering me, how would you like it yourself? Like it, sir, said Miss Tetterby, relieving him of his dishonored load. Yes, like it, said Johnny. How would you? Not at all. If you was me, you'd go for a soldier. I will too. There ain't no babies in the army. Mr. Tetterby, who had arrived upon the scene of action, rubbed his chin thoughtfully, instead of correcting the rebel, and seemed rather struck by his view of a military life. I wish I was in the army myself, if the child's in the right, said Miss Tetterby, looking at her husband, for I have no peace of my life here. I'm a slave, a Virginia slave. Some indistinct association with her weak descent on the tobacco trade perhaps suggested this aggravated expression to Miss Tetterby. I never have holiday or any pleasure at all from year's end to year's end. Why, Lord bless and save the child, said Miss Tetterby, shaking the baby with an irritability hard-suited to so pious an aspiration. What's the matter with her now? Not being able to discover, and not rendering the subject much clearer by shaking it, Mrs. Tetterby put the baby away in a cradle and, folding her arms, sat rocking it angrily with her foot. How do you stand there, Dolphus? Said Mrs. Tetterby to her husband. Why don't you do something? Because I don't care about doing anything, Mr. Tetterby replied. I'm sure I don't, said Mrs. Tetterby. I'll take my oath I don't, said Mr. Tetterby. A diversion arose here among Johnny and his 5 younger brothers, who, in preparing the family's breakfast table, had fallen to skirmishing for the temporary possession of the loaf, and were buffering one another with great heartiness. The smallest boy of all, with precocious discretion, hovering outside the knot of combatants and harassing their legs. Into the midst of this fray, Mr. and Mrs. Tetterby both precipitated themselves to the great ardor, as if such ground were the only ground on which they could now agree, and having, with no visible remains of their late soft-heartedness, laid about them without any leniency, and done much execution, resumed their former relative positions. You had better read your paper and do nothing at all, said Mrs. Tetterby. What's there to read in a paper? Returned Mr. Tetterby with an excessive discontent. What? Said Mrs. Tetterby. Police. It's nothing to me, said Tetterby. What do I care what people do or are done to? Suicides, suggested Mrs. Tetterby. No business of mine, replied her husband. Births, deaths, marriages. Are those nothing to you? Replied Miss Tetterby. If the births were all for good, and all today, and all the deaths were all to begin to come off tomorrow, I don't see why it should interest me till I thought it was coming to my turn, grumbled Tetterby. Reading too much. Oh, I'm so sorry, son. Yeah, have a good sleep. Good night, good night. Have a good rest. Grumbled Tetterby. As to marriages, I've done it myself. I know quite enough about them. To judge from his dissatisfied expression to her face and manner, Miss Tetterby appeared to entertain the same opinions as her husband, and she opposed him, nevertheless, for the gratification of quarrelling with him. Oh, you are a consistent man, said Mr. Tetterby unto you, with the screen of your own making there, made of nothing else but the bits of newspaper which you sit and read to the children by the half-hour together. Say used to, if you please, returned her husband. You won't find me doing so any more. I'm wiser now. Gah, wiser indeed, said Miss Tetterby. Are you better? The question sounded some discordant note in Mr. Tetterby's breast. He ruminated dejectedly and passed his hand across his face and across his forehead. Better, murmured Mr. Tetterby. I don't know as any of us are better or happier either. Better, is it? He turned to the screen and traced about it with his finger until he found a certain paragraph of which he was in quest. This used to be of the family favourites, I can recollect, said Tetterby, in a forlorn and stupid way, and used to draw tears from the children and make 'em good if there was any little bickering or discontent among 'em, next to the story of the robin redbreast in the woods. Melancholy case of destitution. Yesterday, a small man with the baby in his arms and surrounded by half a dozen ragged little ones of various ages between 10 and 2, the whole of whom were evidently in a famished condition, appeared before the worthy magistrate and made the following recital. I don't understand it, I'm sure, said Tetterby. I don't see what it's got to do with us. How old and shabby he looks, said Miss Tetterby, watching him. I never saw such a change in a man. Dear me, it was a sacrifice. What was the sacrifice? Her husband sourly inquired. Miss Tetterby shook her head and, without replying in words, raised a complete sea-storm about the baby by her violent agitation of the cradle. If you mean your marriage was a sacrifice, my good woman, said her husband, I do mean it, said his wife. Why then, I mean to say, pursued Mr. Tetterby, as sulkily and surly as she, that there were two sides to the affair, and that I was the sacrifice, and that I wish the sacrifice hadn't been accepted. I wish it hadn't, Tetterby, with all my heart and soul, I do assure you, said his wife. You can't wish it more than I do, Tetterby. I don't know what I saw in her, muttered the newsman. I'm sure, certainly, if I saw anything, it's not there now. I was thinking so last night after supper by the fire. She's fat, she's aging, she won't bear comparison with most other women. He's common looking, he has no air within him, he's small, he's beginning to stoop, and he's getting bald, muttered Miss Tetterby. I must have been half out of my mind when I did it, muttered Mr. Tetterby. My senses must have forsook me, but that's the only way in which I can explain it to myself, said Miss Tetterby with elaboration. In this mood, they sat down to breakfast. Let me do something. Okay. That's better. Much better. All right. The little Tetterbys were not habituated to regard that meal in the light of a sedentary occupation, but discussed it as a dance or trot, rather resembling a savage ceremony, and the occasional shrill of whoops and brandishings of bread and butter with which it was accompanied, as well as in the intricate filings off into the street and back again, and the hoppings up and down the doorstep which were incidental to the performance. In the present instance, the contents between these Tetterby children for the milk and water jug, common to all which stood upon the table, presented so lamentable an instance of angry passions risen from high indeed, that it was an outrage on the memory of Dr. Watts. It was not until Mr. Tetterby had driven the whole herd out at the front door that a moment's peace was secured, and even that was broken by the discovery that Johnny had surreptitiously come back, and was at that instant choking in the jug like a ventriloquist, and his incident and rapacious haste. Hi, Connor. I'm like so thirsty right now. Hold on. No care package? Yeah, I'm sorry. We had one a little bit ago. Mm-hmm. Have a good one. If you're gonna lurk. These children will be the death of me at last, said Miss Tetterby after banishing the culprit, and the sooner the better, I think. Poor people, said Mr. Tetterby, ought not to have children at all. They give us no pleasure. He was at that moment taking the cup with which Miss Tetterby had rudely pushed towards him, and Miss Tetterby was lifting her own cup to her lips when they both stopped, as if they were transfixed. Here, mother, father, cried Johnny, running into the room. Here's Miss Williams coming down the street. And if ever, since the world began, a young boy took a baby from the cradle, with the care of an old nurse, and hushed and soothed it tenderly and trotted away with it cheerfully, Johnny was that boy, and Moloch was that baby, as they went out together. Mr. Tetterby put down his cup. Mrs. Tetterby put down her cup. Mr. Tetterby rubbed his forehead. Miss Tetterby rubbed hers. Mr. Tetterby's face began to soothe and brighten. Mrs. Tetterby began to smooth and brighten. Why, Lord, forgive me, he said to himself. What evil tempers have I been given away to? What has been the matter here? How could I ever treat him ill again after all I had said and felt last night? Sobbed Mrs. Tetterby with her apron in her eyes. Am I a brute? Said Mr. Tetterby, or is there any good in me at all? Sophia, my little woman. Dolphus, dear, returned his wife. I've been in a state of mind, said Mr. Tetterby, that I can bear to think of it, Sophie. Oh, it was nothing to what I've been in, Dolph, cried his wife in a great burst of grief. My Sophia, said Mr. Tetterby, don't take on. I never shall forgive myself. I must have nearly broke your heart, I know. No, Dolph, no, it was me, cried Mrs. Tetterby. My little woman, said her husband, don't. You make me reproach myself dreadful when you show such a noble spirit. Sophia, my dear, you don't know what I thought. I showed it bad enough, no doubt, but what I thought. Oh, my little woman. Mrs. Williams, very nearly here, screamed Johnny at the door. My little woman, I wondered how, gasped Mr. Tetterby, supporting himself by his chair. I wondered how I had ever admired you. I forgot the precious children you have brought about me, and thought you didn't look as slim as I could wish. I never gave a recollection, said Mr. Tetterby, with severe self-accusation, to the cares you've had as my wife, and along of me and mine when you might have had already any with another man, who got on better and was luckier than me. Anybody might have found such a man easily, I am sure. And I quarrelled with you for having aged a little in the rough years you have lightened for me. Can you believe it, my little woman? I hardly can myself. Mrs. Tetterby, in a whirlwind of laughing and crying, caught his face with her hands and held it there. Oh, Dolph, she cried, I am so happy that you thought so. I'm so grateful that you thought so, for I thought that you were common-looking, Dolph, and so you are, my dear, and so you may be the commonest of all sights in my eyes till you close them with your own good hands. I thought that you were small, and so you are, and I'll make much of you because you are, and more of you because I love my husband. I thought that you began to stoop, and so you do, and you shall lean on me, and I'll do all I can to keep you up. I thought there was no air about you, but there is. And it's the air of home, and that's the purest and the best there is. Oh, God bless home once more, and all belonging to it, Dolph. Here's Mrs. William, cried Johnny. So she was. And all the children with her, and so she came in. They kissed her, and kissed one another, and kissed the baby, and kissed their father and mother, and then ran back and flocked and danced about her, trooping on with her in triumph. Mr. and Mrs. Tetterby were not a bit behindhand in the warmth of the reception. They were as much attached to her as the children were. They ran towards her, kissed her hands, pressed around her, could not receive her ardently or enthusiastically enough. She came among them like a spirit of all goodness, affection, gentle consideration, love, and domesticity. "What? Are you all so glad to see me too this bright Christmas morning?" said Milly, clapping her hands in a pleasant wonder. "Oh dear, how delightful it is!" More shouting from the children, more kissing, more trooping around her, more happiness, more love, more joy, more honor on all sides than she could bear. "Oh dear," said Milly, "what delicious tears you make me shed. How can I ever have to serve this? What have I done to be so loved?" "Who can help it?" cried Mr. and Mrs. Tickerby. "Who can help it?" echoed the children in a joyful chorus, and they danced and trooped about her again, and clung to her, and laid their rosy faces against her dress, and kissed and fondled it, and could not fondle it or her enough. "I never was so moved," said Milly, drying her eyes, "as I have been this morning. I must tell you, as soon as I can speak, Mr. Redlock came to me at sunrise, and with a tenderness in his manner, more as if I had been his darling daughter than myself, implored with me to go with him to where William's brother George is lying ill. We went together, and all the way along he was so kind and so subdued, and seemed to put such trust and hope in me, that I could not help crying with pleasure. When we got to the house, we met a woman at the door. Somebody had bruised and hurt her, I am afraid, who caught me by the hand and blessed me as I passed. She was right," said Mr. and Mrs. Tetterby. She said she was right. All the children cried out that she was right. "Ah, but there was more than that," said Milly. "We got upstairs to the room. The sick man, who had laid for hours in a state from which no effort could rouse him, rose up from his bed, and bursting into tears stretched out his arms to me, and said that he had led a misspent life, and that he was truly repentant now, in his sorrow for the past, which is all as plain to him as a great prospect, from which a dense black cloud had cleared away, and that he entreated me to ask his poor old father for his pardon and his blessing, and to say a prayer besides his bed. And when I did so, Mr. Redlow joined in it so fervently, and then so thanked me and thanked heaven, and my heart quite overflowed, and I could have done nothing but to sob and cry if the sick man had not begged me to sit down by him, which made me quite, of course. As I sat there, he held my hand in his until he sank in a doze, and even then, when I withdrew my hand to leave him to come here, which Mr. Redlaw was very earnest indeed in wishing me to do, his hand felt for mine, so that someone else was obliged to take my place and make believe to him my hand back. Oh dear, said Milly, sobbing. How thankful and how happy I should feel and do feel for all this. While she was speaking, Redlaw had come in, and after pausing for a moment to observe the group of which she was the centre, had silently ascended the stairs. Upon those stairs he now reappeared again, remaining there while the young student passed him and came running down. 25 stream streak, holy shit, thank you, Kono. Have a good sleep, Kono. Hi, Dreamer, welcome in. ASD and F4 for N. Thank you so much for the follows. Make sure I didn't miss anything else. No. Thank you for the kiss. You got my ear. Okay. Kindest, gentlest, best of creatures, he said, falling on his knees to her and catching her hand. Forgive my cruel ingratitude. Oh dear, cried Milly innocently. Here's another of them. Oh, there's someone else who likes me. What shall I ever do? The guileless, simple way in which she said it, and in which she put her hands before her eyes and wept for very happiness, was as touching as it was delightful. I was not myself, he said. I don't know what it was. It was some consequence of my disorder, perhaps. I was mad. But I'm no longer. Almost as I speak, I am restored. I heard the children crying out your name, and the shade passed from me at the very sound of it. Don't weep, dear Milly. If you could read my heart, and only knew with what affection and what grateful homage it is glowing, you would not let me see you weep. It is such deep reproach. No, no, said Milly. It's not that. It's not indeed. It's joy. It's wonder that you should think it necessary to ask me to forgive so little, and yet it's pleasure that you do. And will you come again? And will you finish the little curtain? No, said Milly, drying her eyes and shaking her head. You won't care for my real needlework now. Is it forgive me to say that? She beckoned him aside and whispered in his ear, There's news from your home, Mr. Edmund. News? How? Either you're not writing when you were very ill, or change in your handwriting when it began to be better, created some suspicion of the truth. However that is, but you're sure you'll not be the worse for any news if it's not bad news? Sure. Then there's someone come, said Milly. My mother? Asked the student, glancing around involuntarily towards Redlaw, who had come down from the stairs. Hush, no, said Milly. It can't be anyone else. Indeed, said Milly. Are you sure? It is not. Before he could say, she put her hand upon his mouth. Yes, it is, said Milly. The young lady, she is very like the miniature Mr. Edmund, but she is prettier, was too unhappy to rest without satisfying her doubts, and came up last night with the little servant maid. As you always dated your letters from the college, she came here, and before I saw Mr. Redlaw this morning, I saw her. She likes me too, said Milly. Oh dear, that's another. This morning. Where is she now? Why, she is now, said Milly, advancing her lips to his ear, in my little parlour in the lodge, and waiting to see you. He pressed her hand and was starting off, but she detained him. Mr. Redlaw is much altered, and has told me this morning that his memory is impaired. Be very considerate to him, Mr. Edward. He needs that from us all. The young man assured her by a look that her caution was not ill bestowed, and as he passed the chemist on his way out, bent respectfully and with an obvious interest before him. Redlaw returned the salutations courteously and even humbly, and looked after him as he passed on. He drooped his head upon his hand too, as trying to reawaken something he had lost. But it was gone. The abiding change that had come upon him since the influence of the music and the phantom's reappearance was that now he truly felt how much he had lost, and could compassionate his own condition and contrast it clearly with the natural state of those who were around him. In this, an interest in those who were around him was revived, and a meek, submissive sense of his calamity was bred, resembling that which sometimes abstains in age when its mental powers are weakened, without insensibility or sullenness being added to the list of its infirmities. He was conscious that, as he redeemed through Milly more and more of the evil he had done, and as he was more and more with her, this change ripened itself within him. Therefore, and because of the attachment she inspired within him, but without other hope, he felt that he was quite dependent on her, and that she was his staff in his affliction. So, when she asked him whether they should go home now, to where the old man and her husband were, and he readily replied, yes, being anxious in that regard, he put his arm through hers and walked beside her, not as if he were the wise and learned man to whom the wonders of nature were an open book and hers were the uninstructed mind, but as if their two positions were reversed, and he knew nothing and she all. He saw the children throng about her and caress her. As he and she went away thus, out of the house, he heard the ringing of their laughter and their merry voices. He saw their bright faces clustered around him like flowers. He witnessed the renewed contentment and affection of their parents. He breathed the simple air of their poor home. Restored to its tranquility, he thought of the unwholesome blight he had shed upon it, and might, what for her, have been diffused then, and perhaps it is no wonder that he walked submissively beside her and drew her gentle bosom near to his own. When they arrived at the lodge, the old man was sitting in his chair in the chimney corner with his eyes fixed on the ground, and his son was leaning against the opposite side of the fireplace, looking at him. As she came in the door, both started and turned round towards her, and a radiant change became upon their faces. "Oh dear, 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 they're all pleased to see me like the rest," cried Milly, clapping her hands in ecstasy and stopping short. "Here are 2 more. Pleased to see her." Pleased was no word for it. She ran into her husband's arms, thrown wide open to receive her, and he would have been glad to have her there with her head lying on his shoulder, through the short winter day. But the old man couldn't spare her. He had arms for her too, and he locked her in with them. "Why, there's my quiet mouse been all this time," said the old man. She had been a long while away. "I find that it's impossible for me to get on without the mouse. Where's my son William? I fancy I have been dreaming, William." "That's what I say myself, father," returned his son. "I've been in an ugly sort of dream, I think." "How are you, father? Are you pretty well?" "Strong and brave, my boy," returned the old man. It was quite a sight to see Mr. William shaking hands with his father, and patting him on the back and rubbing him gently down with his hand, as if he could not possibly do enough to show an interest in him. "What a wonderful man you are, father. How are you, father? Are you really pretty hearty, though?" said William, shaking his hands with him again, and patting him again, and rubbing him gently down again. "I never was fresher or stouter in my life, my boy." "What a wonderful man you are, father, but that's exactly where it is," said Mr. William with enthusiasm. "When I think of all my father's gone through, and all the chances and changes and sorrows and troubles that have happened to him in the course of his long life, and under which his head had grown grey, and years upon years have gathered on it, I feel as if we couldn't do enough to honour the old gentleman and make his old age easy. How are you, father? Are you really pretty well, though?" Mr. Williams might never have left off repeating his inquiry and shaking hands with him again, patting him again and rubbing him down again, if the old man had not espied the chemist, who until now had not seen. "Hi, Mr. Wolfer, welcome in. How are you, sweetling?" "I ask your pardon, Mr. Redlaw," said Philip, "but I didn't know you were here, sir, or should have made less free. It reminds me, Mr. Redlaw, seeing you here on Christmas morning, of the time when you were a student yourself and worked so hard that you were backwards and forwards in our library, even at Christmas time." I'm old enough to remember that, and I remember it right well, though I am 87. "It was after you left here that my poor wife died." "You remember my poor wife, Mr. Redlaw?" The chemist answered yes. "Yes," said the old man. "She was a dear creature. I recollect you come here on one Christmas morning with the young lady. I ask your pardon, Mr. Redlaw, but I think it was his sister you were very much attached to." The chemist looked at him and shook his head. "I had a sister," he said vacantly. "You knew no more." "One Christmas morning," pursued the old man, "that you come here with her, and it began to snow, and my wife invited the lady to walk in and sit by the fire that it's always a burning on Christmas Day in what used to be, before our 10 poor gentlemen commuted, our great dinner hall. I was there, and I recollect, as I was stirring up the blazing for the young lady to warm her pretty feet by, she read the scroll out loud, that it's underneath that picture, 'Lord, keep my memory green.' She and my poor wife fell a talking about it, and it's a strange thing to think of now that they both said, both being so unlike to die, that it was a good prayer, and that it was one they would put up very earnestly if they were called away young, with reference to those who were dearest to them. My brother, says the young lady. My husband, says my poor wife. Lord, keep his memory of me green, and do not let me be forgotten. Tears more painful and more bitter than he had ever shed in all his life coursed down Redlaw's face. Philip, fully occupied in recalling his story, had not observed him until now, nor Milly's anxiety that he should not proceed. Philip, said Redlaw, laying his hand upon his arm, I am a stricken man, on whom the hand of Providence has fallen heavily, though deservedly. You speak to me, my friend, of what I cannot follow. My memory is gone. Merciful power, cried the old man. I have lost my memory of sorrow, wrong, and trouble, said the chemist. And with that, I have lost all man would remember. To see old Philip's pity for him, to see him wheel his own great chair for him to rest in, and look down upon him with a solemn sense of bereavement, was to know, to some degree, how precious to old age such recollections are. The boy came running in and ran to Milly. Here's the man, he said, in the other room. I don't want him. What man does he mean? Asked Mr. Williams. Said Milly. Obedient to a sign from her, he and his old father softly withdrew. As they went out, unnoticed, Redlaw beckoned to the boy to come to him. I like the woman the best, he answered, holding to her skirts. You are right, said Redlaw with a faint smile, but you needn't fear to come to me. I'm gentler than I was. Of all the world to you, poor child. The boy still held back at first, but yielding little by little to her urging, he consented and approached, and even to sit down at his feet. I'm taking a moment. Hi, Maple. How are you, lovely? Hope you're having a good night. I'm gonna give you a quick shout out. Dandy. Hi, Dandy. How are you, lovely? How's your night? ASMR reading? Yeah, reading night. Oh, just realized there's no rain. There we go. Have a good lurk. Yeah. Can we get a shout out, please, for Dandy? Once. Hi, Magna. Okay. Oh, I need to move. Oh my goodness. I feel so stiff. I get so into the reading that I kind of forget to, like, move when I'm reading. Okay, water time. Okay. All right. As Redlaw laid his hand upon the shoulder of the child, looking on him with compassion and a fellow feeling, he put out his other hand to Milly. She stooped down on that side of him so that she could look into his face, and after a silence said, Mr. Redlaw, may I speak to you? Yes, he answered, fixing his eyes upon her. Your voice and music are the same to me. May I ask you something? What you will. Do you remember what I said when I knocked at your door last night? But one who was your friend once and who stood on the verge of destruction. Yes, I remember, he said with some hesitation. Do you remember it? He smoothed the boy's hair, looking at her fixedly all the while, and shook his head. This person, said Milly, in a clear, soft voice, which her mild eyes looking at him made clearer and softer, I found soon afterwards. I went back to the house, and with heaven's help traced him. I was not too soon, and very little, and I should have been too late. He took his hand from the boy and laid it on the back of hand of hers, whose timid yet earnest touch addressed him no less appealingly than her voice and eyes looked more intently on her. He is the father of Mr. Edmund, the young gentleman you saw just now. His real name is Longford. You recollect the name? I recollect the name. And the man? No, not the man. Did he ever wrong me? Yes. Ah. Then it's hopeless? Hopeless. He shook his head and softly beat upon the hand he held as though mutely asking her commiseration. I did not go to Mr. Edmund last night, said Milly. You will listen to me just the same as if you did remember all? To every syllable you say. Both because I did not know then that this really was the father, and because I was fearful of the effect of such intelligence upon him after his illness, if it should be. Since I have known who this person is, I have not gone either, but that is for another reason. He has long been separated from his wife and son, has been a stranger to his home almost from his son's infancy, I learned from him, and has abandoned and deserted what he should have held most dear. And all that time he has been falling from the state of a gentleman, and more until... She rose up hastily and going out for a moment returned, accompanied by the wreck that Redlaw had beheld last night. Do you know me? Asked the chemist. I should be glad, returned the other. And what is unwonted word for me to use, if I could answer no? The chemist looked at the man, standing in self-abashment and degradation before him, and would have looked longer if an ineffectual struggle for enlightenment, but that Milly resumed her late position by his side, and attracted his gaze to her own face. See how low he is sunk, how lost he is, she whispered, stretching out her arm towards him, without looking from the chemist's face. If you could remember all that is connected with him, do you not think it would move your pity to reflect that one you ever loved? Do not let us mind how long ago and what belief that has been forfeited. Should come to this. I hope it would, he answered. I believe it would. His eyes wandered to the figure standing near the door, but came back speedily to her, on whom he gazed intently, as if strove to learn some lesson from every tone of her voice and every beam of her eyes. I have no learning, and you have much, said Milly. I'm not used to think, and you are always thinking. May I tell you why it seems to me a good thing for us to remember wrong that has been done to us? Yes, that we may forgive it. Boxo! Hi, Huckle. Welcome in, Raiders. How was stream, Huckle? Welcome in, Raiders. Welcome to Favorite Cafe. I'm Mukia. I'm a siren with a narcotic affliction, and I run a cafe. If you guys would like a drink, we could do tea, boba, coffee, hot cocoa, however. The cake is extra. Welcome in. How was stream? Were you doing ASMR too? You were? How did it go? Happy New Year, Merry Christmas. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Welcome in. Thank you for the Hako raid. Auto Dwellers, welcome in. First from the year, it was so lovely. Nice. Enos Gaming, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome in. Happy New Year. Miss you. I miss you too. I was doing some rivals this past Sunday, and I was like, man, I want to play this with Hako again. Hako, I know you had a long stream, so if you need to raid and run, I completely understand. But if you want to lurk and hang out, you're obviously more than welcome to. Just make sure to go do your after stream care. Eat food, drink water, take a shower, because you're stinky. Whatever that you need to go do, please make sure to take care. I was busy. I missed your DM. No, I didn't DM anybody. I didn't really message anybody. I play on Sundays. And I was like, I've told people if they want to join, they can join. Makes me play sleep right. I'm sorry, Obliterator. But yeah, we are reading a story right now called The Haunted Man and the Ghost's Bargain. We started reading it in December, But it is such a long story. I didn't know I could not do it in a single night. So we're finishing it now. But basically, the story is about a man named Mr. Redlaw. He is a chemist and a professor at a college, or university, whatever, same thing. And one night, on Christmas Eve night, he is visited by a ghost. And the ghost is a reflection of himself. Obviously, because it's a ghost, it's more scary looking, right? And the ghost basically makes him a deal saying, will you take you I will sorry, the ghost basically tells him, I will take the knowledge of a past wrong, something that has been haunting you for many, many years. I will take that from you. You will no longer remember this event ever happening, but in exchange, you won't feel the pain of it happening, but in exchange, you won't remember the people involved, which means he won't remember his sister. He won't remember the man that hurt his sister and the man who took Mr. Redlaw's love away from him. So he doesn't remember any of them. And so what ends up happening is Mr. Redlaw takes the deal from the ghost. And by doing so, because he no longer has memory of these things happening to him, he loses all sense of empathy. And because he himself doesn't feel it, he has no more joy and no more, he has no whimsy, basically, but to a severe level. And because he no longer has that, any person he comes across also feels that. Families start arguing and they say that they hate each other. They start verbally, if not physically, hurting each other. And on the morning of Christmas morning, because it's a Christmas story, right? So Christmas morning, the ghost returns to him and Mr. Redlaw asks, is there a way for me to break this deal? And the ghost says, no, you cannot break this deal. And he says, well, what can I do? And so the ghost tells him to go seek out the wife, or go seek out his maid. Her name is Millie. And so Mr. Redlaw says, I can't seek her out because I have this curse upon me. And if I do, she will become just like everyone else. And the ghost tells him, basically, without saying it in words, the way to break the curse is because of her own goodness. She radiates it to a level that all the people that Mr. Redlaw inadvertently cursed, she can effectively cure, especially him. But he will not regain those memories. He will not remember them. And so he goes to Millie, and one by one they go to all the people that he went to the night before. And she basically brings the whimsy back into their lives, right? And so now he's learning that something happened to him in the past, because remember, he doesn't remember something happening. The ghost took that memory away from him. And Millie's father-in-law was just like, hey, remember last couple Christmases ago when you were still a student here, before you were a professor? Your sister and you came to visit us. And Mr. Redlaw starts crying because he goes, I have a sister. He doesn't remember. That's so sad. It's pretty sad. It's pretty sad. Get an EP, have a good stream. Good night, Valvera. Have a good sleep. Good night, good night, good night. Oh man, it's a good story. It's one of Charles Dickens's first Christmas stories, I believe before he did Christmas Carol. So that's why there's ghosts and stuff like that. But it has a happy ending. So far what happened is, Millie went through around and So she goes to, so there's a student of Mr. Redlaw's that is sick, and he doesn't have, he just wanted to be at peace. He just wanted to be at peace. He doesn't want to feel and remember that painful thing that happened so many years ago. But because, so right now, right, Billy asks Mr. Redlaw, may I tell you why it seems to me a good thing for us to remember wrong that has been done to us? And then Mr. Redlaw says yes. And then her response to him, agreeing, is so that we may forgive it. And I think that's pretty important. He just wanted to be at peace. And sometimes that's kind of a good lesson if you think about it, right? People are just like, oh, I wish I never did this. I wish I could forget about this thing happening. I wish this thing that happened to me by these people didn't happen, that I could forget about it, right? But you have to remember those things because those things make us who we are. And sometimes the only way to get past them is, at least to some degree, forgive it. You don't have to forgive everything, right? But there has to be a point where you have to forgive it for yourself, where you're just like, I need to move past this. And the way to do that is to just forgive that it happened and move on. You know? So that's what she's saying. So right now Millie is telling him, there was a man named, what was the name? Longford. And that is the name of one of his students. And so now the student that had to be left behind because he was too sick to return home, his dad is in town, the one that did Mr. Redlaw wrong back in the past. So now Millie is saying that that very man is in the next room. But because Mr. Redlaw doesn't remember, she's trying to tell him what happened. Right? So let's go ahead and see what he says after that. Hi, Taco. Hi, Super. Welcome in. But Hako, if you need to raid and run, I understand. I'm so sorry. I kept you. If you need to raid and run, I understand. But if you want to look and hang out, you're more than welcome to. May I tell you why it seems to be a good thing for us to remember wrong that has been done to us? Yes, that we may forgive it. Pardon me, great heaven, said Mr. Redlaw, lifting his eyes, for having thrown away thine and high attribute. And if, said Millie, if your memory should one day be restored, as we all hope and pray it will be, would it not be a blessing to you to recall at once a wrong and its forgiveness? He looked at the figure by the door and fastened his attentive eyes on her again. A ray of clear light appeared to him to shine into his mind from her bright face. He cannot go to his abandoned home. He does not seek to go there. He knows that he could only carry shame and trouble to those he has so cruelly neglected, and that the best reparation he can make to them now is to avoid them. A very little money carefully bestowed, he would remove to some distant place where he might live and do no wrong, and make such atonement as is left within his power for the wrong he has done. To the unfortunate lady who was his wife, and to his son, this would be the kindest and best boon that the best friend could give them. One too that they need never know of, and to him, shattered in reputation, mind and body, it might be salvation. He took her head between her hands and kissed it and said, "It shall be done. I trust to you to do it for me, and now, and secretly, and to tell him that I would forgive him. if I was so happy as to know for what. As she rose and turned her beaming face towards the fallen man, implying that her meditation had been successful, he advanced a step, and without raising his eyes, addressed himself to Redlaw. "You are so generous," he said. "You ever were, that you will try to banish your rising sense of retribution in the spectacle that is before you. And do not try to banish it from myself, Redlaw. If you can, believe me." The chemist entreated Millie by a gesture to come nearer to him, and, as he listened, looked in her face as if to find in it the clue to what he heard. "I am too decayed a wretch to make a professions. I recollect my own career too well and array any such before you. But from the day on which I made my first step downwards in dealing falsely by you, I have gone down with a certain steady doomed progression. That, I say." Redlaw, keeping her close at his side, turned his face towards the speaker, and there was sorrow in it, something like mournful recognition, too. "I might have been another man. My life might have been another life, and if I had avoided that first fatal step, I don't know what it would have been. I claim nothing for the possibility. Your sister is at rest and better than she could have been with me if I had continued even what you thought of me, even what I once supposed myself to be." Redlaw made a hasty motion with his hand as if he would have put that subject on the side. "I speak," the other went on, "like a man taken from the grave. I should have made my own grave last night had it not been for this blessed hand." "Oh dear, he likes me too," sobbed Millie under her breath. "That's another." "I could not have put myself in your way last night, even for bread, but today, my recollection of what has been so strongly stirred, and it's presented to me, I don't know how, so vividly that I dared to come to your suggestion and take your bounty, and to thank you for it, and to beg you, Redlaw, in your dying hour to be as merciful to me in your thoughts as you are in your deeds." He turned towards the door and stopped a moment on his way forth. "I hope my son may interest you, for his mother's sake. I hope he may deserve to do so. Unless my life should be preserved a long time, and I should know that I have not misused your aid, I shall never look upon him more." Going out, he raised his eyes to Redlaw for the first time. Redlaw, whose steadfast gaze was fixed upon him, dreamily held out his hand. He returned and touched it, little more, with both his own, and bending down his head, went slowly out. In the few minutes that elapsed while Millie silently took him to the gate, the chemist drooped into his chair and covered his face with his hands. Seeing him thus when she came back, accompanied by her husband and his father, whom were both greatly concerned for him, she avoided disturbing him, or permitting him to be disturbed, and kneeled down near the chair to put some warm clothing on the boy. "That's exactly where it is. That's what I always say, father," exclaimed her admiring husband. "There's a motherly feeling to Mrs. William's breast that must and will have went." "Aye, aye," said the old man. "You're right, my son William's right." "It happens all for the best, Millie dear, no doubt," said Mr. William tenderly, "that we have no children of our own, and yet I sometimes wish you had one to love and cherish. Our little dead child that you built such hopes for, that never breathed the breath of life. It has made you quite like Millie. It has made you quiet like Millie, sorry." "I'm very happy in the recollection of it, William dear," she answered. "I think of it every day. I was afraid you thought of it a good deal." "Don't say afraid. It is a comfort to me to speak to me in so many ways. The innocent thing that never lived on earth. It's like an angel to me, William." "You are like an angel to father and me," said William softly. "I know that. When I think of all the hopes I built upon it, and the many times I sat and pictured to myself the little smiling faces on my bosom that never lay there, and the sweet eyes turned up to me that never opened to the light," said Millie, "I can feel a greater tenderness, I think, for all the disappointed hopes in which there is no harm. When I see a beautiful child in its folding mother's arms, I love it all the better, thinking that my child, might have been like that, and might have made my heart as proud and happy. Redlaw raised his head and looked towards her. Although life, it seems by me, she continued, to tell me something. For poor neglected children, my little child pleads as if it were alive, and had a voice I knew with which to speak to me. When I hear of youth in suffering or shame, I think that my child might have come to that, perhaps, and that God took it from me, in his mercy. Even in age and grey hair, such as father's, it is present, saying that it too might have lived to be old, long after you all and I were gone, to have needed the respect and love of younger people. Her quiet voice was quieter than ever, and she took her husband's arm and laid her head against it. Children love me so, and sometimes I have fancy. It's a silly fancy, William. But they have some way I don't know of, the feeling of my little child in me, and understand why their love is precious to me. If I had been quite since, I've been more happy, William, in 100 ways, not less happy, dear, in this, that even when my little child was born and dead but a few days, and I was weak and sorrowful and could not help grieving a little, the thought arose that if I tried to lead a good life, I should meet in heaven a bright creature who would call me mother. Redlaw fell upon his knees with the loud cry. "Oh, thou," he said, "who thought the teaching of pure love hast graciously restored to me the memory which was the memory of Christ upon the cross, and of all those good who perished in his cause, receive my thanks and bless her." Then he folded her to his heart, and Milly, sobbing more than ever, cried as she laughed. "He is coming back to himself. He likes me very much indeed too. Oh dear, dear, dear me, here's another." Then the student entered, leading by the hand a lovely girl who was afraid to come. And Redlaw so changed towards him, seeing in him and his youthful choice the softened shadow of that chastising passage of his own, to which, as to a shady tree, the dove so long imprisoned in its solitary ark might fly for the rest of its company, fell upon his neck, entreating him to be his children. Then, as Christmas is a time of which, of all times of the year, the memory of every lamentable sorrow, wrong, and trouble in the world around us should be active with us, not less than our own experience, for good, he lay his hand upon the boy, and, silently calling him to witness, who laid hands on him, children and old time, rebuking, in the majesty of his prophetic knowledge, those who kept him from him, vowed to protect him, teach him, and reclaim him. Then he gave his right hand cheerily to Philip, and said that they would that day hold a Christmas dinner in what used to be, before the 10 poor gentlemen commuted, their great dinner hall, and that they would bid to it as many of that Switzer family who, his son had told him, were so numerous that they might join hands and make a ring around England, as could be brought together on so short a notice. And it was that day done. There were so many Switzers there, grown up and children, an attempt to state them in round numbers might engender doubts of the distrustful of the veracity of this history. Therefore, the attempt shall not be made. But there were, by dozens and scores, and there was good news and good hope there ready for them, of George, who had visited again by his father and brother, and by Milly, and again left in a quiet sleep. There, present at the dinner too, were the Titterbys, including young Adolphus, who arrived in his prismatic comforter, in good time for the beef. Johnny and the baby were too late, of course, and came in on one side, and one exhausted, the other in a supposed state of the double tooth. But that was customary, and not alarming. It was sad to see the child who had no name or lineage, watching the other children as they played, not knowing how to talk with them or sport with them, and more strange to the ways of childhood than a rough dog. It was sad, though in a different way, to see what an instinctive knowledge the youngest children there had of his being different from all the rest, and how they made timid approaches to him with soft words and touches, and with little presents that he might not be unhappy. What he kept by Milly, and began to love her, and that was another, as she said. And, as they all liked her dearly, they were glad of that, and when she saw him peeping at them from behind her chair, they were pleased that he was so close to it. All this, the chemist sitting with the student and his bride that was to be, Philip and the rest, saw. Some people have said since that he only thought what has been herein set down others, that he read it in the fire one winter night about the twilight time. Others, that the ghost was but the representation of his gloomy thoughts, and Milly, the embodiment of his better wisdom. I say nothing, except this, that as they are assembled in the old hall, by no other light than that of a great fire, having dined early, the shadows once more stole out of their hiding places and danced about the room, showing the children marvelous shapes and faces on the walls, and gradually changing what was real and familiar there to what was wild and magical. But there were one thing in the hall to which the eyes of Mr. Redlaw and of Milly and her husband, and of the old man and of the student and his bride that was to be, were often turned, which the shadows did not obscure or change, deepened in its gravity by the firelight, and gazing from the darkness of the panelled wall like life, the sedate face of the portrait, with the beard and ruff looking down at them from under its verdant wreath of holly, as they looked up at it, and clear and plain below, as if a voice had uttered them, were the words, "Lord, keep my memory green." And that's the end. Oh my gosh. Spider Monkey, King Drac, and Andoni, thank you so much for the follows. Welcome in. How are you? How's your night? We just finished reading a story called Haunted Man and the Ghost's Bargain. It was, honestly, it was a good story. I actually really, really enjoyed it. It was interesting. Hi, Braun. How are you? How's your night? Yuki. Hi, beautiful. Hope you're having a good night. What'd you guys think of the story? Obviously, it's very wordy, right? But a lot of Charles Dickens stories are very wordy, and you're just like, oh, what's going on? But I like it. I think it's pretty good. If you are interested, I do have an ASMR YouTube channel. We're not ending, by the way. We have an ASMR YouTube channel. If you guys would like to watch over there, you're more than welcome to. That's where I usually post my VODs and stuff like that. Long story short, I slept my entire day. Are you okay? Siren, thank you for the head pat. Silver, thank you for the head pat. Hi, Siren, how are you? Silver Valent Mage, how are you? Nice story. It's pretty good. I do like it. I like the story. It's good. I've done that. This has been great. It's a good story. We're gonna get back into some Dracula now because it is reading club. Reading club meeting number 73. Honestly, I just put number 73 because I was just like, it'd be funny to put like an actual like number. We are actually on chapter 12 of Dracula. 10, 12. And if you guys would like to follow along on that, we'll be doing that when we come back from the break. I can do a quick party. I'll go to the party real quick. A quick potty break. Here is that. If you guys would like to follow along, that is the story that we're going to be reading next. Like I said, we're on chapter 12. Finally, blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. I do not blah, blah, blah. Dracula. Yeah. being sick suck? It does, bro. I hate the feeling of being sick. Party in the potty. That sounds so gross. Don't ever say that again. But I'm gonna do a quick BRB. I'm gonna stand up. I'm gonna go do a quick stretch. I'm gonna drink some Wawa. And when we come back, we'll be doing some more ASMR if you guys would like to join us. Like I said, the book is pinned to the top of chat if you want to follow along. And when I come back, we'll do a quick catch up of where we are in the story. But really quick, let me go ahead and clear out the queue for requests or for redeems. Moon, thank you for the coffee order. Lost Me, thank you for the coffee order. Fraction, thank you for the coffee order. Beesh, thank you for the coffee order. Aiden, thank you for the coffee order. Envo, thank you for the coffee order. Humble, thank you for the coffee order. There you go. Dark Lord, thank you for the coffee order. Silver Wolf, thank you for the coffee order. Kono, thank you for the coffee order. Dreamer, thank you for the coffee order. Funkish, thank you for the coffee order. Obliterator, thank you for the coffee order. Taco, thank you for the coffee order. Fortune Summit, thank you for the coffee order. Super, thank you for the coffee order. You could thank you for the coffee order. And we'll do the care package in just a second. Siren, thank you for the coffee order. And Shah, thank you for the coffee order. It has been a while. Hope you're doing good. Lungo, welcome in. How are you? Thanks for the follow. How are you, sweetling? We're going to do a quick care package, everybody. So that means go ahead, sit up straight. If you're at your desk, tilt your head to the left. And tilt your head to the right. Look up. And look down. Sit up and drink some Wawa. Good thing I'm taking a break. My cup is empty. I'm gonna go refresh my water and I'll be right back. Gone for years, am I? I see how it is. I see how it is, Kane. How are you, cutie? How's your night? Hope you're having a good night. Thank you for the stream earlier, Kane. I'm so sorry I wasn't super active. Like, I accidentally, I don't know. Okay, hold on. I have to tell you guys the story. It's so funny. So, how are you doing today? I'm good, Meg. How about you? Where's my rain? Rain, how dare you? I had to put the cups away. But I definitely want the rain. There we go. But, has returned. Welcome back. Welcome back from the. I left my water in the kitchen. I was gonna reach over and pick up my cup and take a sip, and I was like, wait, where's my cup? I don't feel it. I'll bring it back. Okay, you can't do the same joke twice. Listen here, pup. 15 miles there. 2 miles again. I know. I'm the worst. You know what? You know what, Kane? Just for that, I'm gonna get you. Yeah, get shouted out, nerd. Been 4 years. It's been like 2.5 minutes. I swear to God. I swear to the all that is holy, unholy. Oh my God. Not the shout out. Yeah, get shouted out, nerd. Okay? How dare you? That's it. You know what? You know what, Kane? Hold on. Just for that. Let's see, but can you wash though? Can you wash though? Yeah, I didn't think so. I didn't think you knew how. Stinky. 354% stinky. Damn. Damn, bro. Damn. Imagine being stinky. Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy, Kane. That's crazy. So stinky. Where's her milk? I never said I was bringing milk, so you're gonna have to ask, Guga about that one. Okay, there's not a whole lot I could do to you guys, okay? I just can check your stinky score. Like, that's all I got in my arsenal of things that I could do to you. I ain't got much else. Okay? Gotta take it where I can take it. Oh, okay, no, but I had a story to tell you guys, which is really funny. So I have my 2 monitors, right? And this morning I woke up and I turned a button. Thank you for the kiss. And what was it? So like I have my 2 monitors, okay? And when I turn on my computer, Bongo Cats also opens up, right? So this little game right here. HK, what do you think you're doing? Yeah, I thought not. Thank you for the copy, Don. And when I clicked on it, I had the game over my Discord, and I meant to click on the Bongo Cats, but I accidentally joined into call with Inky while they were playing Fortnite, and I was just like, why do I hear voices? for a solid like 2 minutes, I was just like, huh? What's going on? And I'm like checking my browser to see if I had anything open, and nothing was open. And I was just like, what's going on? And then Inky was just like, girl, you're in call with us. And I was like, oh, oops. It was so fun. Inky was just like, are you okay? No, I just woke up and I didn't have my coffee yet. 397 stinky. Oh my god, super. Wait, do you beat... What was the stinkiest today? Okay, wait, hold on. But you got cleaner. You were 793, but now you're 397. Okay, okay. Not too bad. Abaddon, 122. All right. With the milk was my dad. Sorry, I was confused. No, you're so good, super. Totally understandable. Okay. 882. Oh no. Oh no. Hi, Hannibal. It's Stinky. 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 There you go. 381. Okay, but you do know how to wash. You could do extra point wash and see if you know how to clean yourself to get unstinky, or you get more stinky. 499. 399. I can afford that. I can afford 399. Though free 99 is my preferable price. But I showered. I don't know, Envo. Did you? Let's take a look. Let's see, Envo. You do. You know how to wash. You're only 250% now. That's not too bad. It's not too bad. Oh no, Hannibal. 598. 598. I guess you don't know how to wash. That's crazy. A Megan not knowing how to wash. But how can I be? I always show up before stream. Must be from the robots I turned into Scrabble. Exactly. It's definitely it. I'll take it. You will? Okay, good. If you guys would like to join us on the Bongo Cats game, it is a free game. You don't even have to be a follower or anything to join us. Let me get the lobby code. And is it here? Here? No. Here? Bongo. There it is. Let me get the code for you. There you guys go. If you guys would like to do the Bongo Cat game with us, television. Hi. Thank you for the raid. How are you? That is the invite code, and that is the link to the free game. Who wants to be a millionaire? That's a game. I didn't know that was a game. Hopefully it was fun. Okay. I have my water. I have you guys. And I think we're ready for some Dracula. If you guys would like to follow along, the book is pinned to the top of chat. And yeah. Stinky. It's the same, so you can only do it once a day, Annabelle. You can only do it once a day. That's your number for the night. It does not change. Today, you're 598 Stinky. Tyler! Hi, Tyler. Hi. Let me make sure I didn't miss out. I did not. Okay. Perfect. So just have to sit in this all night? You're just that stinky. I'm sorry. All right. Okay. So quick recap of where we are in Dracula. So the main character, or one of the main characters, Jonathan Harker, he went to Dracula's castle to help him basically find a new house to move into, right? And so while he's there, he starts observing that there's some strange stuff going on. And while he's observing this, Dracula himself is starting to look younger and younger and less gray. So then one day, Jonathan finds out that while there's a bunch of people at the castle that Count Dracula has hired to help him with the move, quote unquote, some of them, there's not as many. And so Jonathan discovers the bodies of those men and comes across Dracula's wives who try to eat him. So then what ends up happening is Dracula locks Jonathan in the castle for his wives basically to feast upon, while Dracula himself leaves Transylvania to go to basically London, right? And so while that's happening, Jonathan's fiance, Mina, and her friend Lucy are on holiday. Wanted a Jonathan snack? They did. I mean, I've never had a Jonathan snack before, but I hear they're pretty tasty. Hi, Lucy. Looking beautiful. How are you? And so what ends up happening is the ship that Dracula is on, the crew slowly start disappearing. And I heard my name. I just said Lucy. I just said your name. I said hi, girl. So then what ends up happening is so Lucy and Mina are like summer vacationing by in a small like oceanfront town, right? A small fishing village, basically. Like a small fishing town, technically. It's not a village. It's a bit bigger than a village. It's more of a town. Anyways, so they're there. And between where their house is and the next building is a graveyard, right? And so Mina and Lucy is snack for Dracula. Oh, yes. So then that's why you said Lucy. I see it now. Okay. So Mina and Lucy are taking walks along this path from their house to the church and back. Like they go into town this way, right? And what ends up happening is there's a huge storm. And in the storm, the ship that Dracula is on is like coming towards the town, and it looks like no one is like on this boat. There's no people, but it's so far into the water that the people in town, they can't tell because there's this huge storm and this what appears to be a ghost ship. And eventually the ship like makes land, right? It I don't want to say it maroons, that's not quite the right word. It crash lands, quote unquote, onto the beach. And once it does that, strange stuff stops happening around Lucy. She starts sleepwalking. And she's just not walking around the house, she's leaving the house and she's going outside. And one day, Mina sees Lucy sitting on a bench and there's a dark figure bent over her. And when Mina gets closer, she realizes that it must have just been a cloud or something that was casting Lucy in a shadow, because there's nothing there. It's just Lucy, but she has a weird wound on her neck. We all know what it is, though. But anyways, so then Lucy and Mina go back to the house, and something, oh, they get a letter because it's been like a month or two and Mina has not heard from Jonathan, and suddenly there's a letter. So Mina has to leave, and Lucy and her mom go back to town. They go back to, I think they go back to London, or they go back to London. That's where they are. And so Mina goes to Transylvania, sees Jonathan, and he doesn't remember anything that happened. He still has his diary. So while he was at the castle, he doesn't remember it, but he knows whatever happened was so traumatic that his brain was just like, yeah, we're not going to remember that. But he knows that he wrote it down in his diary, in his journal, because he writes his day in his journal. And so he gives it to Mina, and she says, if you want to read it to find out what happened, you can read it. And I will listen to you if you want to tell me. And so what she does is she goes, I won't read it either. I'm going to cover it. I'm going to tie it off, and we're not going to read it at all. So, going back to Lucy, she is like sick. She gets engaged. So there's these 3 men that are after Lucy. There's a doctor, a lawyer, I think is a lawyer. Super, thank you for the eyeglasses change. And so there's a doctor, a lawyer, and there's an American, like a landowner, basically. And she ends up engaged to the lawyer, but the doctor remains a close friend. You don't hear from the American for a good long while. So the lawyer, his father is not doing too well, so he goes to the family estate to basically be around his father until the inevitable happens, right? And so while he's there, Lucy starts getting sick, and so the doctor, Dr. Seward, he's there with her, and he's just like, I can't find out what's going on. I have to contact my friend, Dr. Van Helsing. And the doctor immediately realizes what's wrong, but doesn't tell Dr. Seward that a vampire is after Lucy, right? So what ends up happening is they're trying to do blood transfusions in the daytime while trying to protect Lucy at night. So they put garlic in the room, they close the doors, they put a rosary around her. But every time she starts to improve, they can't stay at the house. It's not their house, right? They leave, and they entrust either one of them two are going to be there, or that the maids will listen to what they, as doctors, have told them to do. Keep the rosary around her, keep these garlic wreaths, in her room. Make sure the doors and everything are completely locked before you go to bed at night. But each night something happens to prevent that, and each night they have to basically wake up and one of them has to do blood transfusion. So on the last night, the Von Helsing, he has to leave, and he says, I'll be back later today to relieve you from your charge, because after the maids don't listen, the 2 doctors are just like, okay, if you're not here, I'll be here, otherwise we'll both try to be here at all times. So Von Helsing has to leave. He has to go get more supplies. So then Dr. Seward is by himself with Lucy. And he is a doctor, so he has his own patients, but he's not like, I mean, he is, but he also is the doctor at an insane asylum, at a loony house, right? So he gets a telegram that someone at the insane asylum is acting up. So he has to leave, and he sends a telegram to Dr. Van Helsing that he has to leave, that he'll be back later that night, and he knows the doctor will be there later. But something happens, and Van Helsing doesn't get back until the next day. So while both doctors are not there, Lucy's mom goes into the room to lay with Lucy, and the garlic wreaths are all around, the windows and the doors are all locked, so that nothing from outside can get in, that we can assume. But remember, one of the things that Dracula can do is control wolves in some way, shape, or form. There's a zoo in London, so he takes control of one of the wolves, one of the large wolves, and the wolf goes to Lucy's house and basically smashes its body into one of the windows so that Dracula can get into the house. And then, what happens after that? I'm trying to remember, hold on. And then Dracula basically, does what he does. He feeds on Lucy, and the mother sees what's happened, so she has a heart attack and dies. And the maids come in, and they just see Lucy is in a state. The mom is dead, and so they try to help Lucy after the window gets broken in, and they take Lucy and put her into a different room. So they leave her there, and they're trying to calm themselves, and they take some of the brandy, but it has been spiked with laudanum. Basically, it makes them fall asleep. So they pass out, and Lucy is now completely by herself and at the mercy of Dracula, who has access to the house now. So the next day, Dr. Seward and Van Helsing go to the house, and they see that there is something wrong with Lucy, that there's nothing they can actually do. And Van Helsing, he summons her fiance, and the fiance shows up later, and he's able to say at least a goodbye, because it's like they know that she's not going to make it, right? The mom's already dead. The fiance has to say his goodbye, and Van Helsing, he knows that she's going to turn, and he tells Dr. Seward that they have to go back later that night to finish what is supposed to happen to Lucy. And that's where we are right now, basically. Let's see. I think I'm actually not on 12 because I'm looking at this. And I think I read this. Hold on. Are there sugar shooketh and a procession dove by the twerks of sorrow? They twerk the twerk went out for poor Miss Lucy. Exactly. Hi Racer, how are you? How's your night? Hope you're doing well. Only yesterday. Oh yes, okay. Ooh, one other thing. Okay, so Lucy passes, right? And while that's happening, Mina and Jonathan are on their way back into town. And on their way back, they're in the city, and they're walking on the sidewalks, right? They're just walking around town. And there was this man that was eyeing this woman, and Mina sees him. And when she tries to turn to Jonathan to tell him, like, look what's going on over there, she turns to him and sees that he is so utterly terrified, as if he's remembering what's going on. And so she says that, yeah, the time has come, I fear, when I must open that parcel and know what is written. So she makes the decision that it's time for her to read the book journal. Dr. Seward, yeah, talks about how everybody was so upset over the passing of Lucy. Oh, yeah, and there's this weird thing happening in... So Lucy passes away on... Let me see. 20th of September. Jonathan sees Dracula in the streets on the 22nd. And then also on the 22nd, there's newspaper clippings of something that they're dubbing the Hampstead Mystery, the Kensington Horror, about the stabbing woman, where children are disappearing, and when they reappear, they're like wounded. I'll read this part right here, just really quick, just so you guys can kind of understand what's going on with this newspaper clipping. When Dracula drinks the blood of pretty ladies, Lucy drinks the blood of small children. Yes, so that's where we are right now. We're reading 3 days, because it's just September 25th. So the way that the story is written, for anyone who doesn't know, Dracula is written not like a normal story, right? It is written in a way where it's like piecing together newspaper clippings, journal entries, letters, and all kinds of things that put the story together. So we're looking at Seward's diary, Mina's diary, newspaper clippings, and letters from all the characters of the book together, and they're all dated. That's why I do say the date, because it doesn't matter. Okay. The Westminster gets... Oh, you know what? I need to change the music. Episolatry. Yes. News articles, diaries, and letters. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Let's try this. Ooh. Yeah, I like this. Hi, Man's Farm. You know what? I'm gonna do one thing. Give me a second. I have an idea, and I think you guys would like it. I'm just gonna change the room really quick. All right. Okay. I think this kind of fits the vibe a bit more. All right. Yes, right. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm gonna put my glasses back on now that we're gonna read. Where is it? All right. And there we go. Okay. The Westminster Gazette, September 25th. A Hampstead Mystery. The neighborhood of Hampstead is just at present exercised with a series of events which seem to run on lines parallel to those of what was known to the writers of headlines as the Kensington Horror, or the Stabbing Woman, or the Woman in Black. We're on 13. Give me a second. 13. Type this in. Okay. All right. Or the Woman in Black. During the past 2 or 3 days, several cases have occurred of young children straying from home or neglecting to return from their play on the heath. In all these cases, the children were too young to give any properly intelligible account of themselves. The consensus of their excuses is they had been in a boofer lady's. It has always been late in the evening that, as the first child Mrs. gave at his reasons for being away for that boofer lady, had asked him to come for a walk, the others had picked up the phrase and used it in its occasion served. This is the more natural, as the favorite game of the little ones at present is luring each other away by the whiles. A correspondent writes to us that to eat some of these tiny tots pretending to be the boofer lady is supremely funny. Some of our correctists might, he says, take a lesson in the irony of grotesque by comparing the reality to the picture. It is only in accordance with general principles of human nature that the boofer lady should be popular role at the alfresco performances. Our correspondent naively says that even Ellen Terry could not be so winningly attractive as some of these grubby-faced little children pretend and even imagine themselves to be. Woken from your well, good morning. Hopefully nap was good. There is, however, possibly a serious side to the question. For some of the children, indeed all who have been missing at night, have been slightly torn or wounded at the throat. The wounds seem such as might be made by a rat or small dog, and although of not much importance individually, would tend to show that whatever animal inflicted them into a system or method of its own. The police of the division have been instructed to keep a sharp lookout for the straying children, especially when very young, in and around Hampstead Heath, and for any stray dog which might be about. September 25th, the Westminster Gazette, extra special. The Hampstead Horror, another child injured. The Bloofer Lady. We have just received intelligence that another child, missed last night, was only discovered late in the morning after a furze bush at the Shooter's Hill side of Hampstead Heath, which is perhaps less frequented than the other parts. It is the same tiny wound in the throat that has been noticed in other cases. It was terribly weak and looked quite emaciated. It too, when partially restored, had the common story to tell of being lured away by the Bloofer Lady. Chapter 14. Oh, I need to update it again. We're on chapter 14. Of Dracula. Chapter 14, Mina Harker's Journal. 23rd of September. Jonathan is better after a bad night. I'm so glad that he has plenty of work to do, for that keeps his mind off the terrible things, and oh, I am rejoicing that he is now weighted down with the responsibility of his new position. I knew he would be true to himself, and know how proud I am to see my Jonathan rising to the height of his advancement and keeping pace in all ways with the duties that come upon him. He will be away all day till late, for he said he could not lunch at home. My housework work is done, so I shall take his foreign journal and lock myself up in my room and read it. 24th of September. I hadn't the heart to write last night. That terrible record of Jonathan's upset me so. Poor dear, how he must have suffered. Whether it be true or only imagination, I wonder if there is any truth in it at all. Did he get his brain fever and then write all those terrible things, or had he some cause for it all? I suppose I shall never know, for I dare not open the subject to him. And yet that man he saw yesterday, he seemed quite certain of him. Poor fellow. I suppose it was the funeral upset him that set his mind back on some train of thought. He believes it all himself. I remember how, on our wedding day, he said, unless some solemn duty come upon me to go back to that bitter hours, asleep or awake, mad or sane. There seems to be, through it all, some thread of continuity. That fearful Count was coming to London. It should be, and he came to London, and his teeming millions. There may be a solemn duty, and if it comes, we must not shrink from it. I shall be prepared. I shall get my typewriter this very hour and begin transcribing. Then we shall be ready for other eyes if required. And if it be wanted, then perhaps, if I am ready, poor Jonathan may not be upset. For I can speak for him and never let him be troubled or worried with it all. If ever Jonathan quite gets over the nervousness, he may want to tell me of it all, and I may ask him questions and find out things and see how I may comfort him. Letter, Von Helsing to Mrs. Harker, 24th of September, Confidence. Dear Madam, I pray to pardon my writing, and that I am so far friend that I sent to you sad news of Miss Lucy Westerna's death. For the kindness of Lord Godalming, I am empowered to read her letters and papers, for I am deeply concerned about certain matters vitally important. In them, I find some letters from you, which show how great friends you were and how you loved her. Oh, Madam Mina, by that love I implore you, help me. It is for others' good that I ask, to redress great wrong, and to lift much and terrible troubles, and may be more great than you can know. May it be that I see you. You can trust me. I am friend of Dr. John Seward and of Lord Godalming, that was Arthur, of Miss Lewis. I must keep it private for the present from all. I should come to Exeter to see you at once if you tell me I am privileged to come. And where and when? I implore your pardon, ma'am. I've read your letters to poor Lucy and know how good you are and how your husband suffer. So I pray you, if it may be, enlighten him not, lest it may harm. Again your pardon and forgive me. Von Helsing. Telegram, Miss Harker to Von Helsing, 25th of September. Come today by 10:15 train if you can catch it. See you in any time you call. Wilhelmina Harker. Bitter! Hi, lovely. Thank you so much for the raid. How are you? How's your night? Hi. How was you doing special event? What were you doing? What was the special event? Were you celebrating a birthday? How was the stream? Bitter, I know you had a long stream, so if you need to run, I completely understand, but if you want to lurk and hang out, you're more than welcome to. I can't even brain enough to do my raid message. No, you're so good. Take care of yourself. Relax. We are reading Dracula. We're on chapter 14. If you want to just lay back and listen, you're more than welcome to. I will gladly do the reading for you. Okay. I'm good. Finished Donathon with hand stream, so I'm going to be lurking because I love hearing your reading. Okay, yeah, enjoy your time. Thank you again so much for the raid. And congratulations on day 2 of your Donathon. Hopefully it's going well. 25th of September. I cannot help feeling terribly excited as the time draws near for the visit of Dr. Van Helsing. For somehow I expect that it will throw some light upon Jonathan's sad experience, and as he attended poor dear Lucy in her last illness, he can tell me all about her. That is the reason of his coming. It is concerning Lucy and her sleepwalking, and not about Jonathan. Then I shall never know the truth. Then I shall never know the real truth now. How silly am I? That awful journal gets hold of my imagination and tingles everything with something of its own color. Of its own color. Of course, it is about Lucy. That habit came back to the poor dear, and that awful night on the cliff must have made her ill. I had almost forgotten it in my own affairs how ill she was afterwards. She must have told him of her sleepwalking adventure on the cliff, and that I knew all about it, and now he wants me to tell him of what she knows. And now he wants me to tell him of what she knows, so that he may understand. I hope I did right in not saying anything of it to Mrs. Westerna. I should never forgive myself if any act of mine, were it even a negative one, brought harm on poor dear Lucy. I hope too Dr. Van Helsing will not blame me. I've had so much trouble and anxiety of late that I feel I cannot bear more just at present. I suppose a cry does us all good at times. Clears the air, as others' rain does. Perhaps it was reading the journal yesterday that upset me, and then Jonathan went away this morning to stay away from me for a whole day and night. First time we have been parted since our marriage. I do hope the dear fellow will take care of himself, and that nothing will occur to upset him. It is 2 o'clock on the door. Doctor will be here soon now. I shall say nothing of Jonathan's journal unless he asks me. I'm so glad I have typewritten out my own journal, so that in case he asks about Lucy, I can hand it to him and will save much questioning. Later. He has come and gone. What a strange meeting, and how it makes my head whirl around. I feel like in one dream. Can it all be possible, or even a part of it? If I had not read Jonathan's journal first, I should never have accepted even a possibility. Poor dear Jonathan. How he must have suffered. Please, the good God, this all may not upset him again. I shall try to save him from it, but it may be even a consolation and a help to him. Terrible though it be, and awful in its consequences, to know for certain that his eyes and ears and brain did not deceive him, and that it is all true. It may be that it is the doubt of which haunts him, that when the doubt is removed, no matter which, waking or dreaming, may prove the truth, he will be more satisfied and better be able to bear the shock. Dr. Van Helsing must be a good man as well as a clever one, if he is Arthur's friend and Dr. Seward's, and if they brought him all the way from Holland to look after Lucy. I fear from having seen him that he is good. I feel from having seen him that he is good, and kind, and of noble nature. When he comes tomorrow, I shall ask him about Jonathan, and then, please God, all this sorrow and anxiety may lead to a good end. I used to think I would like to practice interviewing Jonathan's friend on the Exeter's News, I told him that memory was everything in such work, that you must be able to put down exactly almost every word spoken, even if you had to refine some of it afterwards. Here was a rare interview. I shall try to record it in verbatim. It was 2:30 when the knock came. I took my courage au dumont and waited. A few minutes, Mary opened the door and announced Dr. Van Helsing. I rose and bowed, and he came towards me, a man of medium height, strongly built, with his shoulders set back over a broad, deep chest and neck well balanced on the trunk of his head is the neck. The poise of the head strikes one at once as indicative of thought and power. The head is noble, well-sized, broad and large behind the ears. The face, clean-shaven, shows a hard, square chin, a large, resolute, mobile mouth, a good-sized nose, rather straight, but with quick, sensitive nostrils that seem to broaden as the big, bushy brows came down, and the mouth tightens. The forehead is broad and fine, raising at first almost straight, and then sloping back above two bumps or ridges wide apart. Such a forehead that the reddish hair cannot possibly tumble over it, but falls naturally back and to its sides. Big, dark, blue eyes are set widely apart, and are quick and tender or stern with the man's moods. He says to me, "Mrs. Hawker, is it not?" I bowed assent. "That was Miss Mina Murray." Again, I assented. "It is Mina Murray, and I came to see that was friend of that poor dear Lucy Westerner, Madam Mia. It is on account of the dead I come." "Sir," I said. "Sir," I said, "you could have no better claim on me than you are a friend and helper of Lucy Westerner." And I held out my hand. He took it and said tenderly, "Oh, madam, I knew that the friend of that poor lily girl must be good. That I had yet to learn." He finished his speech with a courtly bow. I asked him what it was he wanted to see me about, so he at once began. "I have read your letters to Mrs. Lucy. Forgive me, but I had to begin to acquire somewhere, and there was no one to ask. I know that you were with her at Whitby. She sometimes kept a diary. You need not look surprised, Madam Mina. It was begun after you had left, and was an imitation of you. And in that diary she traces by influences certain things to a sleepwalking, in which she puts down that you saved her. In great perplexity, then I come to you and ask you out of your so kindness to tell me all that you can remember." Hi, Leory. "Ah, then you have a good memory for facts, for details. It is not always so with young ladies." "Oh, I can tell you, I think, Dr. Van Helsing, all about it." "Then you have a good memory for facts and details? It is not always so with young ladies." "No, doctor, but I wrote it all down at the time. I can show you if you'd like." "Oh, Madam Mina, I would be grateful. You will do me such favor." Christina! Hi, Christina, welcome in. How are you? How was your stream? Are you doing some ASMR? How was ASMR? Was it good? Did you have fun? Welcome in, Raiders. Welcome to Favorite Cafe. I'm Mukia. I'm a siren with a necrotic affliction, and I run a cafe. If you guys would like a drink, we do tea, but coffee, hot cocoa, however, the cake is extra. How was it? Are we doing well, Hottie? I'm doing good, beautiful. We are reading tonight. On Tuesdays is book club, and we are reading Dracula tonight. We just started Stellaris. Stellaris, thank you so much for gifting us sub over to Christina. You guys know what that means. That means Christina gets to add, or we get to add a kiss. Kiss Me All Night for Christina. We're going to do pink, obviously, because I believe your model has a lot of pink in it. And you know what? Christina, you are a creature of my own heart. I love pink. So we'll put it right here, close to my heart for you. A kiss. For every sub or 500 bits, you can kiss me all night. You can do 5 subs or 2,500 bits, and I will guide you to comfort, which is 5 minutes of guided meditations. If you do 10 subs or more, I will read you a love poem just for you. Every kith begins with K, and Christina's name begins with K. A coincidence? I think not. But Christina, thank you so much for the raid. If you need to raid and run, I understand, but if you want to lurk and hang out, you're more than welcome to. Olive is online, and Excite, thank you so much for the follow, Sweetling. How are you? Christina, is her name Christina now? Hi, Brandon, how are you? How's your night? Hope you're doing well. We're looking for a little bit. Thank you for the good vibes. Of course, lovely. Have a good rest. Take it easy. Drink Wawa, okay? Definitely need the Wawa, right? If you guys would like to join us on the reading, you're more than welcome to. There is the link right there. We are on chapter 14 of Dracula, as say Van Helsing, of Dracula. If you guys would like to join us, you're more than welcome to. I just watched Paprika with my brother. How did you like it? It's such a good anime, right? I actually really like it. Really quick, I'm going to do a couple of these redeems. Yuki, thank you for the care package. Mick, thank you for the coffee order. HK, thank you for the coffee order and for the cabedon. Cantos, sorry, thank you for the coffee order. Silver, thank you for the coffee order. Mansform, thank you for the coffee order. Kodiak, thank you so much for the coffee order. Chef, thank you for the coffee order. Thanatos, thank you for the coffee order. And Akita, thank you for the care package. We'll go ahead and do that right now. Everybody, sit up, tilt your head to the left. And tilt your head to the right. Look up. And look down. Oof, down always hurts my neck the most. Sit up and drink some Wawa. Thank you for the care package. And for the kiss. Oh, you kissed my shoulder. You kissed my sweater. Bunny Bell. Hi, lovely. Thank you so much for the raid. The chimes are ringing into your stream. They're I do love a good chime. How was Phasmo? How did it go? How did it go? We on chapter 14? We are on chapter 14, XIV. And we are at Mina Harker's journal. We're not that far into it. Right where it says later, and they're beginning their conversation. If you'd like to follow us along. Most of my chat is sleepy by now. Okay, then we'll keep things nice and cozy for them. But Bunny Bell, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome on in, sleepy raiders. Welcome to Favorite Cafe. I'm Mukia. I'm a siren with a necrotic affliction, and I run a cafe. If you'd like a drink, you're more than welcome to. We can do tea, boba, coffee, hot cocoa, however the cake is extra. I's here also just in another. Oh, hi Fallen, welcome in. I'm a super noob, though I did surprisingly well. It's such a good game. It is not super easy for beginners because the tools that they give you are so difficult to use. But I'm glad you had a lot of fun with it. Bun did very good. Oh, I'm glad. Let me give you a quick follow, Bun. Before I forget. Oh, oops. Nope, not that. My bad. There you go. There you go. So I can give you a watch next time. I love Phasmophobia. It's such a fun game. Not better than I do most days. Were you playing by yourself? Enko and Solaris Records, thanks for the follows. How do I say your name? Fida the Fallen Tenko? Is it Fida? Fiat? Is it Fiat? Or Fida? But we are reading chapter 14. If you guys like to join us. Fia. It's Irish. Ah, Fia. Okay, so I was right. Fia. The D is silent. Fia. Okay, got it. Thank you so much. Be playing games in the morning, but I do art. more fast run. Oh, I'd love to. I love watching people do art. It's just so chill, you know? But Bun, if you need to raid and run, I understand. But if you want to lurk and hang out, you're more than welcome to. Just make sure you go do your after stream care. Eat food, drink water, take a shower, because you're stinky Bun. Stinky only because you were playing a scary game with ghosties. But thank you so much for thank you for the follow too. Take it easy, okay? Do your after stream care. Alright. Chapter 14, if you guys would like to join us. I usually kind of don't look at chat too often, so if you just want to relax and listen, you're more than welcome to. I can tell you, I think, Dr. Van Helsing all about it. Then you have a good memory for facts or details. It is not always so with young ladies. No, Doctor, but I wrote it all down at the time. Show it to you, if you'd like. Oh, Madam Mina, I will be grateful. You will do me such favor. I could not resist the temptation of mystifying him a bit. Suppose it is some of the taste of the original apple that remains still in our mouths. So I handed him the shorthand diary. He took it with a grateful bow and said, "May I read it?" "If you wish," I answered as demurely as I could. He opened it, and for an instant his face fell. Then he stood up and bowed. "Oh, you clever woman," he said. "I knew long that Mr. Jonathan was a man of much thankfulness. But see, his wife have all the good things, and will you not so much honour do me to help me as to read it for me? Alas, I know not the shorthand." By this time my little joke was over, and I was almost ashamed. So I took the typewritten copy from my work basket and handed it to him. "Forgive me," I said. "I could not help it. But I had been thinking that it was of dear Lucy that you wished to ask, and so that you might not have time to wait, not on my account, but because I know your time must be precious, I've written out on the typewriter for you." He took it, and his eyes glistened. "You are so good," he said, "and may I read it now? I may want to ask you some things when I have read." "By all means," I said. "Read it over whilst I order lunch, and then you can ask me questions whilst we eat." He bowed and settled himself in a chair with his back to the light, and became absorbed in the papers, whilst I went to see after lunch, chiefly in order that he might not be disturbed. When I came back, I found him walking hurriedly up and down the room, his face all ablaze with excitement. He rushed up to me and took me by both hands. "Oh, Madam Mina," he said, "how can I say what I owe to you? This paper is as sunshine. It opens the gate to me. I am dazzled. I am dazed. I'm with so much light, and yet clouds roll in behind the light every time. But that you cannot comprehend. Ah, but I am so grateful to you. You clever woman, madam." He said this very solemnly. "If ever Abraham Van Helsing can do anything for you or yours, I trust you will let me know. It will be a pleasure and delight if I may serve you as a friend, but all I have ever learned, all I can ever do, shall be for you and those you love. There are darkness in life, and there are lights. You are one of the lights. You will have happy life and a good life, and your husband will be blessed in it. But doctor, you praise me too much, and you do not know me. Not know you. I, who am old and will have studied all my life, men and women, I have made my specialty the brain and all that belongs to him and all that follow of him. And I have read your diary that you have so goodly written for me, and which breathes out truth in every line. I, who have read your so sweet letter to poor Lucy of your marriage and your trust, not know you. Oh, Madam Mina, good women tell all their lives, and by day and by hour and by minute, such things that angels can read. And we men who wish to know what have in us something of angels' eyes. Your husband is noble nature, and you are noble too, for you trust. And trust cannot be where there is mean nature. And your husband, tell me of him. Is he quite well? Is all that fever gone? And is he strong and healthy? I saw here an opening to ask about Jonathan, so I said. He was almost recovered, but He has been greatly upset by Mr. Harkin's death, he interrupted. Oh yes, I know. I've read your last 2 letters, I went on. I suppose this upsets him, for when we were in town on Thursday last, he had a sort of shock. A shock. And after brain fever so soon, that is not good. What kind of shock was it? He thought he saw someone who recalled something terrible, something which led to his brain fever. And there, the whole thing seemed to overwhelm me in a rush. The pity for Jonathan, the horror which he experienced, the whole fearful mystery of his diary, and the fear that has been brooding over me ever since, all came in a tumult. I suppose I was hysterical, for I threw myself on my knees and held him. So I threw myself on my knees and held up my hands to him and implored him to make my husband well again. He took my hands and raised me up and made me sit on the sofa and sat by me. He held my hands in his and said to me with such infinite wisdom, "My life is a burden and lonely one, and so full of work that I have not had much time for friendships. But since I have been summoned here by my friend John Seward, I have known so many good people and seen such nobility that I feel more than ever, and it has grown with my advancing years, the loneliness of my life. Believe me, then, that I come here full of respect for you, and you have given me hope. Hope, not in what I am seeking of, but that there are good women still left to make life happy. Good women, whose lives and whose truths may make good lessons for the children that are to be. I am glad that I may be here of some use to you, or if your husband suffer, he suffer within the range of my study and experience. I promise you that I will gladly do all for him that I can. All to make his life strong and manly, on your life a happy one. Now you must eat. You are overwrought and perhaps over-anxious. Husband Jonathan would not like to see you so pale, and what he like, not where he love, is not to his good. Therefore, for his sake, you must eat and smile. You have told me all about Lucy, and so now we shall not speak of it, lest it distress. I shall stay in Exeter tonight, for I want to think much over what you have told me, and when I have thought I will ask you questions, if I may, and then, too, you will tell me of husband Jonathan's troubles so far as you can, but not yet. You must eat now. Afterwards, you shall tell me all." After lunch, when we went back to the drawing room, he said to me, "And now, tell me all about him." When it came to speaking to this great learned man, I began to fear that he would think me a weak fool, and Jonathan a madman. That journal is all so strange, and I hesitated to go on, but he was so sweet and kind, and he had promised to help, and I trusted him. So I said, "Dr. von Helsing, what I have to tell you is so queer that you must not laugh at me or my husband. I have been since yesterday in a sort of fever of doubts. You must be kind to me and not think me foolish, that I have even half believed some of these very strange things." He reassured me by his manner, as well as his words, when he said, "Oh, my dear, if you only know how strange is the matter regarding which I am here, it is you who would laugh. I have learned not to think little of anyone's belief, no matter how strange it be. I have tried to keep an open mind, and it is not the ordinary things of life that could close it, but the strange things, the extraordinary things, the things that make one doubt if they be mad or sane. Thank you 1,000 times. I have taken a weight off my mind. If you will let me, I shall give you a paper to read. It is long, and I have typewritten it out. It will tell you my trouble and Jonathan's. It is the copy of his journal when he abroad, and all that happened. And do not say anything of it. You will read for yourself and judge. And then when I see you, perhaps you'll be very kind and tell me what you think." "I promise," he said, as I gave him the papers. "I shall in the morning, so soon as I can, come to see you and your husband, if I may." Jonathan will be here 11:30, and you must come to lunch with us and see him then. You could catch the quick 3:34 train, which will leave you at Paddington before 8. He was surprised at my knowledge of the trains offhand, but he does not know that I have made up all the trains to and from Exeter so that I may help Jonathan in case he's in a hurry. So he took the papers with him and went away. And I sit here thinking, I don't know what. Okay, so now he has given the papers. He's given the, what is it called? Now he has her journal as well as what Jonathan wrote when he was at Castle Transylvania. Okay. All right. Let's see. Letter by hand. Von Helsing to Mrs. Harker. 25th September, 6 o'clock. Dear Madam Mina, I have read your husband's so wonderful diary. You may sleep without doubt. Strange and terrible as it is true. I will pledge my life on it. It may be worse for others, but for him and you there is no dread. He is a noble fellow, and let me tell you from experience of men, that one who would do as he did in going down that wall and to that room, aye, and going a second time, is not one to be injured in permanence by a shock. His brain and his heart are all right. This I swear before I have even seen him. So be at rest. I shall have much to talk, much to ask him of other things. I am blessed that today I come to see you, for I have learned all at once so much that again I am dazzle more than ever, and I must think. Yours most faithfully, Abraham von Helsing. Letter, Miss Harker to von Helsing. 25th of September, 6:30 p.m. So half an hour between letters. My dear von Helsing, 1,000 thanks for your kind letter, which has taken a great weight off my mind. And yet, if it be true, what terrible things there are in the world, and what awful things, that if that man, that monster, be really in London, I fear to think. I have this moment, whilst writing, had a wire from Jonathan saying that he leaves by the 6:25 tonight from Louston and will be here at 10:18, so that I have no fear tonight. Will you, therefore, instead of lunching with us, please come to breakfast at 8 o'clock? If this be not too early for you, you can get away, if you are in a hurry, by the 10:30 train, which will bring you to Paddington by 2:35. Do not answer this, as I shall take it that, if I do not hear, you will come to breakfast. Believe me, your faithful and grateful friend, Mina Harker. Jonathan Harker's journal, 26th of September. So the next day, I believe? This is the next day. Yes, this is the next day. Shadow Reaver and Dead Kmart. Thank you so much for the follows. Welcome in. Okay. Let's see. Jonathan Harker's journal, 26th of September. I thought never to write in this diary again, but the time has come. When I got home last night, Mina had supper ready, and when we had supped, she told me of von Helsing's visit, and of her having given him the 2 diaries copied out, and of how anxious she had been about me. She showed me in the doctor's letter that all I wrote down was true. It seemed to have made a new man of me. I was the doubt as to the reality of the whole thing that knocked me over. I felt important and in the dark. I felt impotent and in the dark and distrustful. But now I know. I'm not afraid even of the Count. He has succeeded, after all, then, in his design in getting to London. And it was he I saw. He has gotten younger. And how? Von Helsing is the man to unmask him and hunt him out. if he is anything like what Mina says. We sat late and talked it all over. Mina is dressing, and I should call at the hotel in a few minutes and bring him over. He was, I think, surprised to see me. When I came into the room where he was and introduced myself, he took me by the shoulder and turned my face round to the light and said, after sharp scrutiny, "But Madame Mina told me you were ill, that you had a shock." It was so funny to hear my wife called Madame Mina. By his kindly strong face, old man smiled. I smiled and said, "I was ill. I have had a shock, but you have cured me already." "And how?" "By your letter to Mina last night." I was in doubt, and then everything took a hue of unreality, and did not know what to trust, even the evidence of my own senses. Not knowing what to trust, I did not know what to do, and so had only to keep on working in what that hitherto been the groove of my life. The groove ceased to avail me, and I mistrusted myself. "Doctor, you don't know what it is to doubt anything, even yourself." "No, you don't. You couldn't with eyebrows like yours." He seemed pleased and laughed as he said, "So, you are a physiognomist? I learned more here with each hour. I am with so much pleasure coming to you to breakfast, and oh, sir, will you pardon praise from an old man, but you are blessed with your wife." I would listen to him go on praising Mina for a day, so I simply nodded and stood silent. She is one of God's women, fashioned by his own hands, and to show us men and other women that there is a heaven where we can enter, and that his light can be here on earth. So true, so sweet, so noble, so little an egoist, and that, let me tell you, is much in this age so skeptical and selfish. And you, sir, I have read all the letters to poor Miss Lucy, and some of them speak of you, so I know you since some days from the knowing of others. But I have seen your true self since last night. You will give me your hand, will you not? Let us be friends for all our lives." We shook hands, and he was so earnest and so kind that it made me quite chalky. "And now," he said, "may I ask you for some more help? I have a great task to do, and the beginning is it to know. You can help me here. You can help me what went before your going to Transylvania. Later on, I may ask for more help, and of a different kind, but at first this will do." "Look here, sir," I said, "does what you have to do concern the Count?" "It does," he said solemnly. "Then I am with you heart and soul. As you go by the 10:30 train, you don't have time to read them, but I shall get the bundle of papers. You can take them with you and read them in the train." After breakfast, I saw him to the Wint station. When we were parting, he said, "Perhaps you will come to town if I send to you, and take Madame Mina too." "We shall both come when you will," I said. I had gotten him the morning papers and the London papers of the previous night, and while we were talking at the carriage window, waiting for the train to start, he was turning them over. His eye suddenly seemed to catch something in one of them, the Westminster Gazette. I knew it by the color, and he grew quite white. He read something intently, groaning to himself. Mein Gott, too soon, too soon." I do not think he remembered me at that moment. Just then the whistle blew, and the train moved off. This recalled him to himself, and he leaned out of the window and waved his hand, calling out, "Love to Madame Mina. I shall write so soon as I ever can." Thermal, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome in. How are you, kitty? Alright. Oh, I need to stretch up my neck. Hold on. Okay. Alright, I think the doctors finally realized that Lucy is the one that is going after the children. Oh, Lucy, what are we going to do about you? Okay. close that. Perfect. 26th of September. There truly is no such thing as finality. Oh, sorry, this is Dr. Seward's diary. Not a week since I said finis, and yet here I am starting fresh again. Or rather, going on with the same record. Until this afternoon, I had no cause to think of what is done. Renfield had become, to all intents, as sane as he ever was. He was already well ahead of his fly business, and he had just started in the spider line so he had not been of any trouble to me. I had a letter from Arthur, written on Sunday, and from it, I gather that he is bearing up wonderfully well. Quincy Morris is with him, and that is much of a help, for he himself is a bubbling well of good spirits. Quincy wrote me a line too, and from him I hear that Arthur is beginning to recover something of his old buoyancy. So, as to them, all my mind is at rest. As for myself, I was settling down to my work with the enthusiasm which I used to have for it, so that I might fairly have said that the wound which poor Lucy left on me was becoming cicatrized? Don't know what that means. What does that mean? Cicatrized? Is that how you say that? Cicatrized. Healed from, I figured, but okay. Everything is, however, now reopened, and what is to be done, and what is to be the end, God only knows. I have an idea that Van Helsing thinks he knows too, but he will only let out enough at a time to whet curiosity. He went to Exeter yesterday, and stayed there all night. Today he came back and almost bounded into the room at about 5:30 and thrust last night's Westminster Gazette into my hand. "What do you think of that?" he asked as he stood back and folded his arms. I looked over the paper, but I really did not know what he meant, but he took it from me and pointed out a paragraph about children being decoyed away at Hampstead. It did not convey much to me until I read the passage where he described small punctured wounds in their throats. An idea struck me, and looked up. "Well," he said, "is it like poor Lucy's? And what do you make of it?" "Simply that there is some cause in common. Whatever it was that injured her has injured them." I did not quite understand his answer. That is true indirectly, but not directly. "How do you mean, Professor?" I asked, with a little inclined to take his seriousness lightly, for, after all, 4 days of rest and freedom from burning, harrowing anxiety does not help restore one's spirits. But when I saw his face, it sombered me. Never, even in the midst of our despair about poor Lucy, had he looked more stern. "Tell me," I said. "I can hazard no opinion. I do not know what to think, and I have no data on which to found a conjecture." "Do you mean to tell me, friend John, that you have no suspicion as to what poor Lucy died of? Not after all the hints given, not only by events, but by me? Of nervous prostration following on great loss of waste of blood? And how the blood lost or waste?" I shook my head. He stepped over and sat down beside me and went on. "Hi, Seika. Morgan, welcome in. How are you?" "You are a clever man, friend John. You reason well, and your wit is bold, but you are too prejudiced. You do not let your eyes see, nor your ears hear, that which is outside your daily life. It is not of account to you. Do you not think that there are things which you cannot understand, and yet which are, that some people see things that others cannot? There are things old and new which must not be contemplated by men's eyes, because they know, or think they know, some things which other men have told them. It is the fault of our science that it wants to explain all, and if it explain not, then it says there is nothing to explain. But yet we see around us every day the growth growth of new beliefs, which think themselves new, and which are yet but the old, which prefer to be the young, like the fine ladies at the opera. I suppose now you do not believe in corporal transference? No? Nor in materialization? No. Nor in astral bodies? No. Nor of the reading of thoughts? No. Nor in hypnotism? Yes, I said. Sherritt has proved that very well, he smiled and went on. Then you are satisfied to it, yes? And of course, then you understand how it acts and can follow the mind of the great Sherritt. Alas, he is no more, into the very soul of the patient that he influenced? No? Then, friend John, I am to take it that you simply accept fact and are satisfied to let them premise to conclusion to be blank. No, then tell me, for I am student of the brain, how you accept the hypnotism and reject the thought of reading. Let me tell you, my friend, that there are things done today in electrical science which would have been deemed unholy by the very men who discovered electricity, who went of themselves not so long ago before have been burned as wizards. There are always mysteries in life. Why was it that Methuselah lived 900 years and old Pa 169? And yet, that poor Lucy, with 4 men's blood in her poor veins, could not live even 1 day. For she had lived 1 more day, we could have saved her. Do you know all the mystery of life and death? Do you know all that together of comparative anatomy, and can say wherefore the quantities of brutes are in some men and not in others? Can you tell me why, when other spiders die small and soon, that one great spider lived for centuries in the tower of the old Spanish church, and grew till on descending he could drink the oil of all the church's lamps? Can you tell me why in the pampas, aye, and elsewhere, there are bats that come at night and open the vein of cattle and horses, and suck dry their veins? How in some island in the western seas there are bats which hang on trees all day, and those who have seen described like giant nuts or pods? And that when the sailors sleep on the deck, because it is hot, lint down on them, and then in the morning are found dead men, white as even Mrs. Lucy was. Good God, Professor, I said, starting up. Do you mean to tell me that Lucy was bitten by such a bat, and that such a thing is here in London in the 19th century? He waved his hand for silence and went on. Can you tell me why the tortoise lives more long than generations of men, and why the elephant goes on and on till he have been dynasties, and why the parrot never die, only of bite of cat or dog or other complaint? Can you tell me why men believe in all ages and places that there are some few who live on always if they be permit, that they are men and women who cannot die? We all know, because science has vouched for the fact, they have been toads shut up in rocks for thousands of years, shut in one so small hole that only hold them since the youth of the world. Can you tell me that the Indian fakir can make himself to die, and have him buried, and his grave sealed and corn sowed on it, and the corn reaped to be cut and sown and reaped and cut again, and then men come and take away the unbroken seal, and that there lie the Indian fakir, not dead, but that rise up and walk amongst them as before? Here I interrupted him. I was getting bewildered, so he crowned on my head a list of nature's eccentricities and possible impossibilities, that my imagination was getting fired. I had a dim idea that he was teaching me some lesson, as long ago he used to do in his study at Amsterdam. But he used them to tell me the thing, so I could have the object of thought in mind all the time. But now I was without this help, yet I wanted to follow him, so I said, Professor, let me be your pet student again. Tell me the thesis, so that I may apply your knowledge as you go on. At present I'm going to mind from point to point as a madman and not a sane one. Follows an idea. I feel like the novice lumbering through a bog in a mist, jumping from one tussock to another, in the mere blind effort to move on without knowing where I'm going. That is a good image, he said. Well, I should tell you. My thesis is this. I want you to believe. To believe what? To believe in the things that you cannot. Let me illustrate. I heard once of an American who so defied faith, that facility which enables us to believe things which we know to be true for one. I followed that man. He meant that we shall have an open mind, and not let a little bit of truth check the rush of big truth. Like a small rock does on a railway track. We get the small truth first. Good. We keep him and we value him, but all the same we must not let him think himself all the truth of the universe. Then you want me to not let some previous convictions injure the receptivity of my mind with regard to some strange matter. Do I read your lesson right? Ah, you are my favorite pupil still. It is worth to teach you. Now that you are willing to understand, you have taken the first step to understand. You think then that those so small holes in the children's throats were made by the same that made the hole in Miss Lucy? I suppose so. He stood up and said solemnly. Then you are wrong. Oh, it would be... Oh, were it... Then you are wrong. Oh, would it were so, but alas, no, it is far, far worse. In God's name, Professor von Helsing, what do you mean? I cried. He threw himself with a despairing gesture into a chair and placed his elbows on the table, covering his face with his hands as he spoke. They were made by Miss Lucy. Mercy! Hi, Mercy. How are you? Welcome in. How's your night? Alright. That is chapter 14. We are now on chapter 15. There we go. Let me check the time. We have 7 more minutes till the end of stream. So I think we'll go ahead and we'll end the reading portion there. And we're just going to hang out for a couple more minutes before we head on out. Oh my god. Doing alright. How are you? I'm doing good. How was your Christmas? Did you both have a good time? Oof. Where's my blanket? I'm so cold. Thank you for the kiss. Forehead kiss. Hell yeah. My favorite. We love forehead smooches from the homies. Apart from Viking being sick. You're sick too? Oh no. I'm so sorry. How was your Christmas? It was good. It was good. I stayed home with my family. I watched movies with my dad. We had dinner. We all had dinner together. My older brother and I cleaned up kitchen after my mom and my little brother made dinner. We had ham and potato. I don't remember, but we had ham. It was so good. Sounds lovely. It was so nice. We just stayed home. It was good. It was warm out today. 43F, thankfully, but that's cold again. 43 is warm? What? 43 is so cold for me. Let's see. Right now, let me grab my phone. Let's take a look. Right now, it is... Come on, phone, open. It is 12 Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but pretty cold. To me, it's pretty cold. Compared to the 23 weather we have been, actually, that's fair. That's so fair. Supposed to have snowstorm later. A snowstorm. Oh my gosh, are you guys prepared for a snowstorm? Hope you guys are prepared. Alright, did I update it? Did I change it to say 15? I did. Okay, good. That way next time. So we will be doing Marshy. Thank you so much for the resub. Please enjoy this emotes, and as always, welcome to Favorite Cafe. Let me go ahead and add a kiss to the model for you. Marshy, we gotta do like a pink color, of course. Because your name is pink. When I look at your name, it's like a pink color. So we do like a light pink. And we will put it, we'll put it right here on my cheek. Let me just get it on the right layer for you. There you go. Perfect. Excellent. It kind of blends in, but it's there. Trust me. It's there. I can see it. I know it's there. Well, pink is my favorite. Pink is such a good color. I think pink is one of those colors that goes well with a lot of different things, you know? I can see it too. Yeah, it's very subtle, you know? I want to say Snowmageddon is behind us, but winter is still here, so I wait until we get in April. Like a kiss blush. It is. Oh my gosh, that'd be such a cute thing to do. Right? Put your blush on your boyfriend's cheeks or your significant other's mouth, on their mouth, and have them kiss you on the cheek, and then you just blend it in that way. Wouldn't that be so cute? Oh, that'd be adorable. That's the kind of shit I would do. Like, babe, here, I'm gonna put this on you, and then I want you to kiss me right here. That would be so cute. That'd be adorable. But yeah. I'm gonna hit 99 sailing. OSRS today? I spent my sick time wisely. Oh, OSRS, what's that? What is that? And just a reminder to everybody, if you are new to the channel, I post all of my streams for ASMR on my ASMR channel. So if you wanted to watch or listen to other readings that I've done before, or catch up with me on Dracula, and you want to listen to me read them, you will not find the VODs on Twitch. You will only find them on my YouTube, which is right there linked into chat. They should be posted, they're posted in the live channel, if you want to do that. Otherwise, thank you for hanging out with me over in